multiple worlds collecting cards from Naruto. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 176, Formation of a Pirate Group. After putting away his weapon, Chen Tian turned his head and looked at the ruins. As the secret technique of the sand crocodile, you shouldn't be so easy to die, right? Go and get the Bailey and devil fruit of that crocodile to me. Don't think about running away. Believe me, you can't escape. Sure enough, the female secretary slowly stood up from behind a ruin. At this moment, she was filled with fear just by seeing Chen Tian. After taking a deep look at Chen Tian, she immediately trotted away from here. Of course, she didn't run away, but followed Chen Tian's order to get her boss's wealth. Because she knew very well that with the other party's powerful strength, if they wanted to kill her, even if she ran away, she wouldn't be able to escape far. Brother Chen Tian, are you okay? Not long after the female secretary left, Robin and others rushed over. Mr. Four and Miss Merry Christmas were already dead, and Kingsu and Robin didn't waste any effort to kill them. Do you think I look like I'm in trouble? But that sand crocodile is still strong, but he was too arrogant at the beginning. Chen Tian shrugged and chuckled, saying, if he had tried his best at the beginning, he could have fought me a few more times. He was still very confident in his own strength. Although he had not become much stronger in the past few months, the fight with Carp had already proved his strength. After a long time, the female secretary came over in a panic, dragging several boxes, fearing that Chen Tian would kill her if he was unhappy. Although what she was doing now would anger her boss, once she was discovered and found out, she would still be dead. However, if she didn't do what Chen Tian said, she would probably die now. In her own eyes, anyway, that was the case. She never thought that Chen Tian would not kill people indiscriminately, and never thought about doing anything to her from beginning to end. After getting the treasure of the sand crocodile, Chen Tian did not intend to attack the female secretary and let her leave directly. He himself was not a bloodthirsty person, and of course the enemy needed to be solved, but this female secretary was not a threat to him at all. Then, he opened the boxes and was stunned. I never thought that this sand crocodile would have so much wealth, 7 devil fruits and 10 billion berries. I guess this is not all. After all, with the cunning of the crocodile, he would not let his subordinates know everything. Chen Tian looked at the things in the box with shining eyes, and then calculated, but this is enough. 10 billion berries can buy at least 5 devil fruits. With the 7 here, there are 12, which is more than I have accumulated in so many years. If Long accumulates enough devil fruits, with their relationship, maybe 10 billion berries can buy more than 5. I have accumulated 10 in so many years, and now I have at least 12. It's so cool. A man can't get rich without unexpected wealth, and a horse can't get fat without night grass. My ancestors are not deceiving me. Chen Tian suddenly remembered this sentence from his previous life. Let's go. Find a place to spend all the money and exchange it for devil fruits. But before that, we still have to go and read the historical text. After leaving the rainy land, Chen Tian went straight to the kingdom of Alabasta. He still remembered that the historical text was in the underground palace of the kingdom of Alabasta. Since he knew the location, Chen Tian was too lazy to contact the Nefertari clan, saving them from nagging and not being happy at all. Wouldn't it be better to take Robin and others to see it directly and leave after reading it? Soon, after knocking out several guards, Chen Tian entered the underground palace under the palace and found a black stone slab. That's the historical text. You can read it slowly. If you don't like it, you can copy it and take it away. Pointing to the stone slab in front of him, Chen Tian said with little interest. He already knew the content on it. Isn't it the location of Pluto? Pluto is powerful. Can it be as powerful as the aircraft carrier in the previous life? You destroy an island, and the aircraft carrier is 10 times more powerful than you. With his current strength, even an aircraft carrier may not be able to do anything to him, let alone Pluto. After all, no matter how powerful it is, you have to be able to hit people. Otherwise, what's the difference between it and nothing? But after hearing what Chen Tian said, Robin's eyes suddenly lit up, and he asked Chen Tian to open the gravity space and searched. If I remember correctly, there are things like pens and ink in it, which are all prepared by Nami for drawing nautical charts, and now it's just right for her to use. After working for more than 10 minutes, Robin copied all the historical texts. He put them away very solemnly, and then said, "Let's go." Robin stroked the ends of her hair, and her pretty face was slightly red because of excitement, exuding an alluring smell. After forcibly stabilizing his mind, Chen Tian led everyone away. From beginning to end, they were not discovered while reading the historical text. However, when the guards who were knocked unconscious come over, it is estimated that the Nefertari clan will know that someone has broken in. But at that time, Chen Tian didn't know where he ran to, and they couldn't find him at all. After leaving the underground palace, Chen Tian had no plans to stay in Alabasta. The sand crocodile must still be in this country. After he left, he would probably continue to make trouble. But the affairs of this country have nothing to do with him, so he should leave it to the future Straw Hats to solve. He is going to the Sabaody archipelago now. Only in Sabaody can he exchange all the wealth he has for devil fruits. Of course, before that, he can go to Sky Island. Those golds must not be let go. It is better to kill the Birdman Enel directly, otherwise it will be difficult to get the golden ship. Anyway, Enel is not a good person, and Chen Tian will not feel guilty about killing him. With his strength, he can at least provide himself with the lottery, right? After leaving Alabasta, everyone started their wandering days again, but with so many people accompanying them, it didn't seem boring. Especially Chen Tian, because of the weather. So many beauties on the boat were wearing bikinis, which feasted his eyes. Whether it is a mature Belemia, the enchanting Kingsu, the cute Yui, or the cold Robin, they all have their own flavor. Brother Chen Tian. After the news bird flew over, Kingsu ran towards Chen Tian with a few pieces of paper in her hand. The bounty order just issued. Robin's bounty has increased, so I'm also on the bounty list. Chen Tian was stunned for a moment, took the bounty orders, and took a look. The purple-haired pirates, the son of the devil Mako Robin, bounty of 180 million baileys, regardless of life or death. The purple-haired pirates navigator, the smiling witch Kingsu, bounty of 110 million baileys, regardless of life or death. Are we pirates now? And this name is too ugly, right? Are all the navy bad at naming? Chen Tian said that he was very depressed. He was defined as a pirate by the navy just like that, and he had no choice at all. From the beginning to the end, he had never thought of becoming a pirate, and now he was forcing himself. While depressed, he also made a decision in his heart. Since you, the navy, define me as a pirate, then what if I become a pirate? When we get to the new world, we will pull down one of the 4 emperors, and make you lose more than you gain. See what your expressions are like. This is indeed a bit too much. We are obviously not pirates. Kingsu was also a little angry. Not only her, but also Robin and Belmare, and others beside her nodded, saying that they were also unhappy. Since the navy wants to play, we will be pirates in the future. Nami, draw a pirate flag first, and think of a name for the pirate group. Chen Tian was not polite, and announced the establishment of the pirate group on the spot, although there was no name yet. After hearing his words, even Belmare did not object. The navy really went too far this time. Chapter 177 Gare Island. Gare Island. This is a boring island for Chen Tian, but there are interesting people. Of course, this interesting person does not refer to Bellamy, who has admired Doflamingo since childhood. Chen Tian does not even know whether Bellamy appeared on Gare Island during this period. If he did, Bellamy was really weak. After so many years, the bounty was only 55 million baileys, and he was killed by Luffy in one punch. The person who really made Chen Tian feel interesting was actually Wenbrand Killick, the diamond-shaped uncle with a chestnut on his head, the 400-year-old descendant of Wenbrand Noland, the protagonist of the story of the Great Liar Roland. In order to prove the existence of the Golden Country and break the curse of the Monbrang family, the man who gambled his life to fight against fate. Just such tenacity is enough to make people admire. But in the eyes of others, he is just a fool who believes in the lies of his ancestors. If there is a chance, he can help Killick prove the existence of the Sky Island Golden Country, but obviously not now. In the future plot, the method used by Luffy and his friends is too risky. If it weren't for the blessing of the protagonist's halo, the Straw Hat Pirates would have died without a burial place. He didn't think he was lucky enough to reach Sky Island by riding the rising current. Even if he relied on the rising current to reach Sky Island, how could he get down? Therefore, regarding Sky Island, we still have to find other ways. Brother Chen, how can we go up to 10,000 meters and reach Sky Island? Robin blinked her big eyes and asked Chen who was drinking. Not only her, but also the others were very curious. That's 10,000 meters in the sky. Even the moon step can't get up there. I'll find someone to ask later to see if there is any safe way. I'm still interested in the gold above, Chen said calmly after taking a sip of wine. Although he didn't know if there were other ways, Kurik should know. After all, he has been studying it for a lifetime. And there is also a thunder god Enelu on Sky Island, who, like Crocodile, is also a poor man defeated by the protagonist's halo. As the strongest natural type, the user of the thunder fruit, he also possesses a heart net that can cover the entire Sky Island, which is a powerful observation haki. He was actually beaten down by Luffy, who didn't even know how to use Gear 2 at the time. Who would believe it if it wasn't for the protagonist's halo? Hahaha, this is ridiculous. In addition to that idiot chestnut head, there is actually an idiot like you on this island? How can there be an island in the sky? Guys like you, just go back and play house with kids, idiot. A pirate who was drinking heard what Chen said just now and laughed and mocked. His mockery directly changed the faces of King Su, Robin, Belmare and others. But Chen didn't care much, because no matter what time period, there will be self-righteous idiots who use their ignorance to laugh at others. There's no need to bother with these guys. Find a place to rest for a day. We should set off tomorrow. Chen stood up and planned to walk outside. The most powerful pirate here was estimated to have a bounty of about 30 million, so he didn't even have the interest to fight. Just as Chen was walking outside, the pirate who had just mocked him, who didn't know whether he had a cramp in his brain or drank too much, picked up the bottle and smashed it directly at Chen head. Bang! Ah! The sound of the bottle breaking and the screams rang out together, but the bottle didn't fall on Chen head. After all, King Su and the others were here. If such a scum met their brother Chen, they would probably run away on the spot. At that moment, Bellemia stood up and stretched out his hand to grab the pirate's wrist. With a little force, he crushed his bones directly. The severe pain made the pirate unable to hold the bottle at all. While screaming, the bottle also fell to the ground. Damn it. Go and kill these idiots. The pirate's eyes immediately became fierce, and then he shouted. Dozens of people stood up in the tavern, drew their swords and guns, and immediately attacked Chen and the others. However, no matter how many minions there are, they are just minions. What can they do? It's just right. I'm not familiar with my strength yet, so I'll practice with you. Bellemia showed a beautiful smile on his face, with murderous intent flashing in his eyes. He moved his body and dozens of gun fingers were extended. As for Robin and others, they had no intention of taking action at this time, because they knew very well that, if Bellemia took action, none of the miscellaneous soldiers who were facing them with swords would survive. Don't underestimate the strength of these women. In the original book, when the Straw Hat Pirates came here, they were very powerful. And these women have the help of Chen, the assistance of the 6 styles of the Navy, the blessing of gravity space, and the training method of Chen combining the 2 worlds. Their strength progress is much more terrifying than that of the Straw Hat Pirates. Humph. At this time, Chen snorted coldly and punched the pirate in the chest. The pirate hit by his punch, flew out like a cannonball, and smashed through the wall of the tavern. With such a huge force, you don't even need to see the pirate cent to know that he can't die anymore. In the short time, when Chen punched, all the pirates who had just taken out swords and guns fell in a pool of blood. Bellemia also retracted his hands, and his expression became extremely calm. It was as if the person who slaughtered dozens of pirates in one breath was not her at all. At this time, a pirate who was still sitting in the tavern looked at Chen and others who turned and left with trembling hands. A trembling voice slowly came out. Purple-haired pirates. They are from the purple-haired pirates. The guy with purple hair is a big pirate with a bounty of 1 billion. It's a pity that the dead pirates couldn't hear his words. If he had said this earlier, I guess even if those pirates had a few courage, they wouldn't dare to show their weapons to Chen Tian and others. A bounty of more than 1 billion, even if it was because of killing civilians and committing many evil deeds, it was not something they could provoke. These pirates are so weak, they are no match for Belmare. Nami followed behind Chen Tian. Her tone was 3 parts happy and 3 parts proud. But Belmare smiled and shook her head, saying, "Don't underestimate the strong in this world. These are just ants at the bottom. We probably can't compete with those who are really strong." While speaking, she also deliberately glanced at Chen Tian. I have heard about the battle between Chen Tian and Admiral Sakazuki, and later saw the battle between him and Garp. Belmare's vision is not so narrow that she can't see the hugeness of the world. Not only her, except for the 2 little girls Nami and Nakiko, everyone else knows how powerful this world is. Even the cute and confused little cook Yui knows what true power looks like. Chapter 178 Primary Lottery. After finding Kukli, he was very enthusiastic when he learned that they wanted to go to Sky Island and believed in its existence. Unfortunately, the result was not as expected, and he didn't know any other way to go to Sky Island. That would be fine, but even the Sky High Current would not appear in a few months, which was extremely unlucky. In desperation, Chen Tian and others returned to the homecoming to rest temporarily and prepare to see the situation tomorrow. If there is really no other way, Chen Tian can only reluctantly give up Sky Island temporarily and wait to go up and search in the future. I didn't expect that I would be so unlucky. Chen Tian let out a long breath, feeling a little depressed. Then he shook his head, expelled all these thoughts, and said in his heart, "System, open the panel for me." Host, Chen Tian. Physique, early stage of Navy Admiral. Physical skills, Navy 6 styles, perfect. Swordsmanship, peak swordsman. 3-color haki, observation haki, intermediate, armament haki, intermediate, overlord haki, intermediate. Ability, regeneration of broken limbs, gravity space, items, 1 fine longsword, 1 ship, homecoming, some food, Bailey 1,025,710,000 Baileys, energy points. 206 world shuttle. 10/300. This is his current strength. Because he often encounters blind pirates, although many of them are handed over to a few women for practice, but the energy points are still a little over 200. He has never let the system absorb the devil fruit he collected from Crocodile. In the future, he will not let the system absorb the devil fruit he gets, unless it is confirmed to be of ordinary animal type. The women on the ship, except Robin, had no other devil fruit users, so of course it depended on whether they wanted it or not. Chen Tian planned to accumulate a few natural type, mythical beast type, powerful superhuman type, etc. to enhance their strength. Of course, these were things for the future, and Chen Tian had more important things to do now. System, open the lottery, I want to draw. Chen Tian looked at the more than 200 energy points with some regret. He had wanted to see a meteor shower, but now he had to use it in advance. There was a lot of gold on the Sky Island, and he was reluctant to give it up, hoping to draw items that could help him get to the Sky Island. The next moment, Chen Tian's eyes went dark, and he appeared in the lottery panel with bright stars. Looking at the countless stars above his head, Chen Tian swallowed greedily, wishing he could get them all down. Sooner or later, you will all be mine, and I will definitely get all of you. Gritting his teeth, Chen Tian swore in his heart. The system had told him what was in it, and it almost made him greedy to death. Like the innate treasure Takai diagram, chaos bell, Pangu's blood, innate spiritual roots, etc. All the good things in the heavens and the worlds are there. Chen Tian looked at it unwillingly, and finally pressed the primary lottery in front of him. There was no other way, who made him have so few energy points, so he could only play the primary lottery. After Chen Tian pressed it, all the stars in the starry sky closest to the ground began to flicker, like asterisk lights. Very beautiful. But each star will only flicker once, and then return to normal, and there will be no more abnormal phenomena. Blinking, all the stars in the first layer flickered once, and then dimmed, and only one was permanently lit. It should be this one, the reward I drew. After looking at this star, Chen Tian had an epiphany in his heart. Swoosh. Then, before he could think about it, the star instantly turned into a meteor and fell towards Chen Tian's feet. He wanted to dodge, but his intuition told him that this meteor would never hurt him. So Chen Tian stood still, watching the meteor getting closer and closer to him. When the meteor was less than 100 meters away from him, Chen Tian stretched out his hands and made a gesture of holding a watermelon. The next moment, the falling meteor quietly fell into his hands without causing any injury. Looking at the bumpy meteor in his hand, Chen Tian was about to reach out and knock it when the meteor suddenly released a white warm light. Illuminated by this light, Chen Tian not only did not feel dazzling, but felt warm and comfortable. After the light faded, the uneven meteor in his hand completely disappeared, replaced by a milky white card. Picking it up and taking a look, the information on the card was clear at a glance. Low-level skill upgrade card. After use, any low-level skill can be upgraded by 1 level. Low-level skills. I don't know if my swordsmanship and domineering can be used. Chen Tian murmured with some doubt. But after asking the system, the whole person immediately became Spartan. What is a low-level skill? The skills obtained in the low-level world are all called low-level skills. The world of flying and flying with swords is the intermediate world. The world of destroying planets is the advanced world. The world of becoming immortals and gods is the top world. And there are other divisions above that. So, whether it is the Naruto world or the pirate world, he is just playing with low-level skills. Chen Tian's mentality collapsed on the spot. Is he so weak? Then he happily put away the low-level skill upgrade card and prepared to use it later. Now he can draw a lottery again. There was not so much drama this time. He slapped it on the spot. After the meteor fell, it emitted a blue light. After the light dissipated, a card appeared. Dance in the sky. After using the card, you can learn the flying skill dance in the Dragon Ball world. After using the card, the level of dance in the sky is elementary. Chen Tian was shocked. Good guy, you said before that I played low level skills, and now you give me a high level one. But I can't use it. I don't have such a thing as ki, unless I use domineering. Host, don't worry. All the items drawn by lottery have adaptive ability. If the host has physical strength, they will consume physical strength, and if there is mana, they will consume mana. Good guy, you mean, what is the energy in my body? They will automatically adapt. Yes. After the system's affirmation, Chen Tian was happy. This flying skill came at the right time. No one in the Dragon Ball world can fly in the universe with this skill. It should be no problem for me to fly 10,000 meters. If I can fly 10,000 meters, the gold on the Sky Island will not be able to escape, and it will definitely go into my pocket. Immediately, Chen Tian directly exited the system panel and waved to take out the 2 cards in his hand. This low-level skill upgrade card can be used for armed color domineering. My domineering is still a little weak. After determining the target, Chen Tian clapped his hands and the card disappeared immediately. Instead, the armed color domineering in his body grew wildly, as if it was hit at an extreme speed. In just a few seconds, Chen Tian clearly felt that the quality and quantity of his armed color domineering had doubled, but there was still some gap with Garp. My goodness, Garp's armament haki is already top notch. He shook his head and dismissed the idea. It had nothing to do with him anyway. He originally wanted to improve his swordsmanship to the level of a great swordsman, but he didn't even have a good sword, so he decided to give up. Moreover, he could sense that it wouldn't take long for his swordsmanship to automatically upgrade, without wasting an upgrade card. Chapter 179 Killing Enelu. After improving his armament haki, Chen Tian couldn't wait to experiment. Armament haki, harden. After turning his whole body into a pitch black color, Chen Tian clenched his fist and knocked on his chest. Bang! The sound of iron blocks colliding rang out, and Chen Tian's body was like a whole piece of iron. He had obviously used a lot of strength, but his chest didn't react at all, as if someone had touched it. Not bad, not bad. Both the attack power and defense power have become much stronger. Chen Tian couldn't stop smiling after dispersing his armament haki with satisfaction. He had long thought that the system would be powerful, but he didn't expect it to become so powerful. Then he tapped the skill card of the sky dance technique, and a lot of information flooded into his mind, shocking Chen Tian dizzy. It was like, after staying up all night, he felt that his brain was stuck, and it was not as easy as usual. He looked at the sky outside. It was still morning, and it was very early. Resisting the excitement in his heart, Chen Tian pushed open the door and walked out, and instantly rushed towards the blue sky. Its speed was so fast that it left a white trail in the sky, and it kept rising. However, within a few tens of seconds, the white sea appeared above his head, but Chen Tian still did not feel any effort. Not bad. This way we can get to the Sky Island, and then try to see how much weight it can bear. Chen Tian was very satisfied with the speed and height. The speed had reached the speed of sound, and the height could not be measured at all. Then Chen Tian arrived at Gare Island at a very fast speed, picked up a huge stone weighing more than 1000 kilograms at random, and lifted it up. After flying around, he found that there was no pressure at all. After many experiments, he did not encounter the upper limit, but the stones on Gare Island could not satisfy him. After thinking about it, after letting Robin and others stand firmly, Chen Tian rushed into the water and lifted up the homecoming. This time, he felt enough pressure, but it was still within the tolerance range. Hey, then lift the homecoming to the Sky Island. With a wanton smile, Chen Tian suddenly exerted force, and the homecoming flew up quickly. The spaceship is flying? Are you blind? Can't you see that there is a person holding up the ship? It can't be the great pirate Golden Lion. Only he can carry the ship to fly. Don't dream. Although Golden Lion rushed out of Impel Down, he is now a cripple. How can he be so strong? Seeing the homecoming suddenly soaring into the sky, the pirates on Gare Island were talking about it. Some smart pirates have already started to pack up and prepare to go to the next island. This place is too scary. Yesterday, there was the great pirate Chen Tian who offered a bounty of 1.1 billion berries. Today, there is another one who can fly. God knows whether he will offend someone he can't afford to offend. Soon, the homecoming had already flown to Sky Island. He didn't even bother to look at the old woman who collected the tickets and rushed up directly. After finding a place to park the homecoming, Chen Tian took Robin and others to start shopping. Everyone had never seen the various shells here, and they were all very interested, so they bought a lot. While shopping, Nakigo asked curiously, "Brother Chen Tian, didn't you say you were here to find gold? Why didn't I see it?" Haha. Rubbing her head, Chen Tian said, "The gold is in the hands of an idiot who claims to be a god. We'll go find it later." Because he didn't control the volume, Chen Tian's words were heard by the residents of the surrounding Sky Island. A large area around Chen Tian and others was instantly vacated, and everyone was retreating. These people looked at Chen Tian with fear, fearing that they would be implicated. "You dare to insult God, the priest will come to find you soon. Run away." An old lady warned with fear, and then left quickly. Chen Tian looked at the sky, as if nothing had happened, and sure enough, a thunderbolt rushed over. "I've noticed that you were observing for a long time, but you're just taking action now. I've been waiting for so long that my flowers have withered." He curled his lips in disdain. As early as when he came up, Chen Tian had already noticed that someone was observing him with his observation haki. But he didn't expect Enel to be so patient and only attacked when he opened his mouth. Boom. After blasting the thunder with one punch, Chen Tian turned around and said, "You guys go for a walk first. I'll go deal with that idiot." After that, he pushed the air dance technique to its extreme and rushed towards Enel. His observation haki is not as strong as Enel's, but the coverage is not small, and he can also detect the other party. As if sensing Chen Tian's actions, the thunder became more rapid and struck in groups. Chen Tian quickly dodged and got closer and closer. When he rushed towards Enel, the four great priests had already found Robin, Kingsu and others. "They are the illegal intruders. Take them down." Without saying a word, these people started to act. Robin and others were not afraid at all, and they fought in a group in an instant, and no one gave in. On the other side, Chen Tian had come not far from Enel, quietly watching him pretending to be cool. "Mortal, you dare to insult God and disrespect God. Accept God's punishment." Thunder. Boom. A bolt of lightning struck Chen Tian at lightning speed, and Enel's anger could be seen. Chen Tian sneered. With this strength, he dared to call himself a god. Go to the blue sea below. I don't know how many people can hang him up and beat him. With a wave of his right hand covered with armed color domineering, he broke Enel's thunder. God is so weak. Even a mortal like me can't beat him. Chen Tian said frivolously. Chen Tian is really upset with this kind of middle school disease who doesn't know the height of the world. He came and said that he was a god, and he didn't allow others to say that he was wrong. This kind of person needs to be taught a lesson. Originally, Chen Tian thought that he had taken the gold, and it was no problem to let Enel go. But once he got to the Sky Island and noticed Enel's observation color domineering, Chen Tian knew that the other party had set his sights on him. The 4 great priests who were hung up and beaten by Robin, Kingsu and others are the best proof. Arrogant. Today I will let you know what the true power of God is. Thunder God. Enel was not stupid. He knew that Chen Tian was quite powerful, so he used his killer move on the spot. A thunder giant over 50 meters tall appeared in front of him, looking at him eagerly. But Chen Tian's attention was not on the thunder giant. Instead, he squinted at the golden ship in the distance. Such a big ship, I don't know how much it is worth. It should be able to exchange for a lot of devil fruits, right? Upon noticing Chen Tian's actions, Enelu became even more furious and rushed towards Chen Tian in an instant. The thunder giant over 50 meters long attacked, causing a huge noise, and everything he touched turned into ashes. I wanted to play with you, but now gold is more important. I understand you now. As he spoke, an ordinary long sword appeared in Chen Tian's hand and pointed at Enelu. Secret technique. Draw the sword. The sword light chilled the 19 continents. With the blessing of the armed color domineering and his own strength, this sword light was simply terrifyingly powerful. Swish. The sound of a knife cutting paper rang out, and Enel, who was rushing over, suddenly stopped and looked at his chest with wide eyes. This is impossible. But these were all useless struggles, because a bloody line suddenly appeared on his chest. The next moment, Enel's upper body fell to the ground, and his eyes were already staring at Chen Tian. Under that sword, Enel was split in two and eyed completely. But Chen Tian was not in the mood to pay attention to the dead Enel now, because the voice of the system sounded. Ding, congratulations to the host for understanding the sword meaning, and the swordsmanship has been promoted to the realm of a great swordsman. This is the real reason why Enel died under this sword. At the moment of drawing the sword, Chen Tian's swordsmanship directly broke through and became a new great swordsman. So the power of this sword increased greatly so that it could kill Enel in seconds. Chapter 180 Great Swordsman. My efforts for so long have not been in vain. You have finally upgraded. Chen Tian breathed a sigh of relief. Ever since he discussed swordsmanship with Koshiro, he has been preparing to break through the great swordsman. Later, he experienced so many battles, except for the one with Garb, all of which were resolved with swordsmanship. Now he has finally broken through, which is not easy. Just as Chen Tian was sighing, he could sense that many people were approaching through his observation haki. They should be Shandians. Let's go collect the gold. Throwing down the scrapped sword, Chen Tian flew out. He still had a rough impression of the location of the gold, and he should be able to find it. While Chen Tian was collecting gold, Kingsu, Robin and others here also resolved the battle. Let's go. We will return to the hometown first, and we will leave when brother Chen Tian comes back. Robin said after lifting the hair by her ear. Why you? I asked stupidly. What about the gold? We came here for the gold. Puff. Kingsu smiled lightly. Since brother Chen Tian has gone, he will not let go of the gold. He will bring it back. When the few people returned to the homecoming, Chen Tian had collected all the gold, not leaving any behind, and he was also rushing towards the homecoming. The location of everyone was given in the observation haki, so Chen Tian did not delay anymore and immediately shouted, "Stand still, we will leave now." Then he lifted the boat and flew towards the blue sea with the flying technique. After Chen Tian and others left, the Shandians came to the place where Enelu died. Looking at Enelu's cold body, everyone looked at each other in disbelief and then hurried back to inform. But these have nothing to do with Chen Tian. The future Luffy will come here to settle all this. Anyway, he is also half of Luffy's master, and it is his duty to help his master clean up his ass. After returning to the Blue Sea, Chen Tian and his group went to the Sabaody archipelago. A month passed in the blink of an eye, and Chen Tian and others arrived at the Sabaody archipelago. In the Sabaody archipelago, pirates entering the new world will be coated here, then dive into the deep sea, pass through the Fishman Island, and then enter the new world. Since it is the only way to the new world, many pirates, merchants and bounty hunters gather here. This place is very large, consisting of 79 Yakiman mangroves. Each tree represents an area, with towns and facilities. 2 is an illegal area such as human trafficking shops. 2 is an amusement park. 4 to 4 is a tourist area, where local specialties are sold. 2 is a shipyard with coating craftsmen. 2 is the entry and exit area for the navy and the asterisk. 2 is the hotel street and other places. The environment here is really good. If possible, it is better to live here when I'm old. Belemuya looked around and had to say that the environment of the Sabaody archipelago was much better than the previous islands. It's basically impossible to live here for retirement. This place is too close to the Navy headquarters and the world government. If we really live here, we will either become the running dogs of the world government or face endless battles. Chen Tian's eyes narrowed, and then he spoke slowly. His current strength is not weak, but there is still some gap between him and the Navy headquarters and the world government. Maybe when he stands firm in the new world, he will have such strength, but it is definitely impossible now. Who can kill me? Suddenly, a crazy and painful roar came from the street on one side. There was a man wearing an explosive collar around his neck, which was something that only Newly would wear. But at this time, no one dared to help him, and even everyone on that street bowed their heads and knelt on the ground. Because behind the roaring man, there was a fat pig-like guy wearing special clothes and a square bubble hood. There were more than a dozen guards in black suits around him, protecting his safety throughout the whole process. What a strange outfit, but why are all the people kneeling down? Nami could tell at a glance that the fat pig-like guy was of noble status, but in her understanding, no matter how noble a person is, he would not make everyone kneel down. Avoid that disgusting guy and go directly to the auction house. Let's exchange all the funds in our hands for devil fruits first. I don't know why, but I always feel that this place called Shampoo will not be safe and sound. With that, Chen Tian turned around and walked towards another road. He didn't intend to provoke the celestial dragons now, but he didn't have the idea of kneeling down to them. He also hated these world nobles very much. It's not that he hated these people's high status, but as rulers, these guys were stupid, greedy, tyrannical, almost all the characteristics that made people hate them. As for the one who wanted someone to kill him, it should be the Newly of the celestial dragon. In this case, death might be a good relief for him. Bang! Chen Tian and his friends hadn't walked far when they heard a gunshot. Nami and the others turned their heads subconsciously and saw that the celestial dragon had killed the man who wanted to die just now with a gun. Seeing this scene, Nami could not help but frowned and asked again, "Brother Chen Tian, who was that just now?" "World nobles, celestial dragons." Chen Tian walked towards the auction house without looking back and explained to Nami, Nakiko, Belma and the others in a slow voice, "The world nobles of the Holy Land Mirajoa, the descendants of the king who established the world government years ago, regard themselves as creators and enjoy almost all the privileges in the world. Even if a country provokes them, it will face the end of destruction. They didn't care. Even if they provoked the world government, the worst thing would be to go out to sea. With the current strength, although they can't compete with those big pirates, after going to the new world, they will not have much problem surviving. But he still has to auction the devil fruit and has no time to deal with the admiral who came, so it's better not to provoke him." Nami and Nakiko nodded thoughtfully, but Belma, who may fully understand this, lowered his head. She was a navy before, but she had never witnessed it, and she didn't even know about it. But when all this appeared naked in front of her, Belma was completely confused. "Don't think too much, wait until we become stronger, and then we can just kill them." Patting Belma's shoulder, Chen Tian's tone was very relaxed, as if he was talking about what to eat today. "That's right. What are the celestial dragons? World nobles? Creators? But what does that have to do with them? They are just a group of wanted criminals who were forced to become pirates by the world government and the navy. Since it's already a fight to the death, is there any problem in killing a few celestial dragons when you're in a bad mood?" As long as you are strong and don't worry about being hunted by the Navy, then just kill them for fun. If you are strong enough, Chen Tian really doesn't mind making some contributions to this world and cleaning up the celestial dragons. Chapter 181 Disgusting Celestial Dragons. After entering the auction and finding a place to sit down, Chen Tian began to wait. There are many auction venues in the Sabaody archipelago, but the one with the most extensive involvement and the largest reputation is naturally the one opened by Shion Yashida Flamingo. Not long after, the auction officially began. This is a large-scale auction with almost everything, but Chen Tian is not very interested in other things except devil fruits. We have bought for devil fruits now, right? During the auction, Chen Tian turned his head and asked the housekeeper Nami. It's already 4. We have basically bought all the devil fruits that appeared in this auction, but we have almost spent our daily. Now there are only 31 million left, which is probably not enough to buy other things. Nami calculated in her mind and told the current situation with a distressed look on her face. So much gold and Bailey. Now there are only tens of millions left. The auction is too expensive. They brought 1 billion berries to the auction, but now only 31 million are left, which means that on average, they spent more than 200 million berries to buy each devil fruit. Fortunately, there are no powerful and precious devil fruits in the devil fruits auction today, otherwise they can't even buy 4. After all, for Chen Tian, there is no difference between good and bad devil fruits. In the eyes of the system, only the number is recognized. 1 is 1. Even if it is a mythical beast, it will not be counted as half an extra. Therefore, Chen Tian's greatest hope is to use more than 100 million berries to buy those superhuman devil fruits that no one wants. 4 devil fruits, barely enough. Chen Tian was a little depressed, but devil fruits are expensive in themselves, and he was very lucky to make a fortune from the sand crocodile this time. Thinking about the previous years, even with the relationship with Long, he only collected 7 animal type devil fruits that were so useless that no one wanted them. At that time, he was depressed for a long time. Chen, this guy is very strong. Why was he captured as a slave? At this time, Belma's eyes suddenly became sharp. He looked at the person standing on the auction platform and couldn't help asking. Hearing this, Chen immediately thought of a person in his heart and then raised his head and looked around. It was indeed this guy. After seeing the guy being auctioned, Chen said slowly, he was not captured as a slave. There are not many people in the world who can capture him. If nothing unexpected happens, this guy should have no money to drink or lost money in gambling and then sold himself, so he became a commodity and threw it here for auction. But it's strange. He is obviously a celebrity on the sea, but few people can really recognize him. Chen looked up and down at the guy with a heroic face. Although they are all in their 60s and almost 70 years old, anyone who dares to underestimate him will definitely pay the corresponding price. Pluto Rayleigh, the right hand of the pirate king who lived in seclusion in Sabaody, was a legendary man in this world, so powerful that he could even suppress the admiral of the navy headquarters. But how could such a person who lived in the Sabaody archipelago not far from the navy, and who had not changed his appearance, not be recognized by anyone? Rayleigh slowly raised his head at this time, and his sharp eyes fell on Chen at once, thinking to himself, haha, it seems that another good little guy has appeared, and this little guy seems to recognize me. Chen and Rayleigh's eyes met in the air, and for a moment, a sunny smile appeared on his face, and then he stood up and said softly, let's go. There is no point in staying here. It's almost time to go to the next place. Where is the next place? Kingsu was stunned for a moment. As a navigator, she didn't remember what other itinerary her captain had arranged. We'll take it one step at a time. I don't know where to go next. If there's nothing good to go to on the Grand Line, how about we go around the 4 seas? We can just go to the new world. Chen himself didn't have a goal. He came out this time to collect devil fruits, but this thing was too random. How about going to the 7 seas capital? Our ship needs to be expanded. It's a bit crowded now. Robin rolled his eyes and suggested. Indeed, since Belmare and Namikaze came on board, the homecoming has been a little insufficient. Now Nami and Nakigo are living together, so the homecoming must be expanded. And if you want to transform a top quality ship like the Homecoming, you naturally need to build the best, otherwise it will not be worthy of Chen Tian's 1.1 billion Bailey bounty. In this world, the best shipbuilder is in the Seven Waters capital. If you calculate the time, Master Tom has not been executed yet and is completing the final stage of the Sea Train project. After thinking for a while, Chen Tian nodded. There is no problem going to the Seven Water capital. We do need to expand the Homecoming, but Robin, have you considered one thing? What is it? Robin was stunned for a moment, not knowing what his captain brother wanted to express. Money. Chen Tian rolled his eyes at Robin. You also said that we only have 31 million Baileys left now. So what can we use to build a ship? To renovate the Homecoming, it will take at least hundreds of millions, or even 1 billion Baileys to get it done. As soon as these words came out, Robin, Kingsu, Nami and others all turned pale, and they realized that they had indeed forgotten about the money. Especially Nami, who was in charge of the financial power. Her face was even darker. They are different from normal pirates. If they were other pirates, they would naturally rob when they ran out of money. But their purple hair pirates are not the kind of vicious pirates. And these people are even more so. I'm so sorry, Master Celestial Dragon. Please forgive my daughter. Please. Just when Chen Tian and the others were worried about money, a hoarse shout reached their ears. It must be said that in the Sabaody archipelago, such voices are indispensable almost every day because the celestial dragons, who are like termites, will be directly executed by them if they make them unhappy at least a little. Whether they are old or young, they are just pariahs in the eyes of celestial dragons, and the life and death of pariahs have no meaning to them. At this moment, it was just because a little girl, who was only 5 or 6 years old, accidentally let the bubble balloon in her hand float in front of the hood of the celestial dragon. Bang! The gunshot rang out, and a bullet whizzed out. Just when the bullet was about to hit the girl's mother, a figure suddenly appeared in front of the mother and daughter. She stretched out her hand and grabbed the bullet. At this moment, Chen Tian smiled and said softly, "It seems that we are in trouble, but it is reasonable. After all, Belmel was once a righteous navy." Chapter 180 To Killing the Celestial Dragons. Once upon a time, Belmare was a righteous navy who protected civilians and was always against evil. Even though she was just an ordinary soldier with low strength, she never took a step back. She only quit the navy to take care of the 2 children, Nakigo and Nami, after meeting them. Now seeing the behavior of this celestial dragon, her inner justice forced her to stand up, and she happened to have such strength. Belmer turned her head and looked at the mother and daughter behind her and said gently, "Leave quickly." "Thank you, sister. Thank you, thank you." The mother and daughter thanked them and left immediately. Although the celestial dragons forced them to kneel, they had no choice but to run away. Watching the mother and daughter leave, Belmer smiled slightly. She was kind and righteous. When she first saw the celestial dragons, she felt disgusted, but in order to avoid trouble, she would not have any extra thoughts. But now it is different. This fat and disgusting celestial dragon in front of him actually took the money and pointed it at the little girl, who was only 5 or 6 years old, and pulled the trigger. This kind of guy has no humanity at all. A mere human being. You are trying to stop me from doing something? Kneel down immediately and kill the person behind you with your own hands. I can forgive your offense just now. The celestial dragon suddenly thought of a very interesting way to play. Doesn't the guy opposite want to save the child? In this case, let him kill the child with his own hands. It should be very interesting. Hearing this, Belemia frowned suddenly and had no intention of paying attention to the celestial dragon at all. Instead, he said in a deep voice, "A mere human being? Aren't you a human being? Stupid guy. Saint Chimako is a descendant of the creator. How can a mere human, like you describe him?" A man in black shouted directly. Some pirates hiding around couldn't help laughing at this moment. They actually questioned the celestial dragon. It seems that they are tired of living. Descendant of the creator? How great can I be? Belma clenched his fists tightly at this moment, and his whole body exuded a terrifying momentum. First of all, let me correct you. I'm not a mere human as you say. I'm a pirate, a purple-haired pirate fighter Belma. The moment the voice fell, Belma took a step forward and walked towards the Saint of Charmak step by step. His clenched fists were ready to swing at any time. It seemed that he was ready to attack the celestial dragons. At this time, Belma's eyes were full of murderous intent. She would not have any mercy on the scum who attacked an unarmed child. This guy, is he really going to attack the celestial dragons? Bad luck. Let's get ready to sail. That idiot is not joking. With such real murderous intent, he will definitely attack the celestial dragons. This kind of behavior will attract the Admiral of the Navy. Resist the celestial dragons? A newborn calf is not afraid of a tiger. This kind of newcomer is what I'm talking about. Ha ha ha. Those pirates who were hiding aside to watch the show turned around and left at this moment. There are still very few stupid people who can reach the Sabaody archipelago and become supernovas in this era. They can see that Belmare is not joking and he really intends to attack the celestial dragons. When Saint Charmax saw Belmare approaching him, his face became ugly and he shouted angrily, "Untouchable, who allowed you to get close to me? Do you want to disobey my orders? In this case, then go to hell." Bang! A gunshot rang out and the bullet flew out of the chamber and headed straight for Belmare. Seeing the bullet approaching him, Belmare dodged it immediately and then he appeared in front of Saint Charmax in the blink of an eye. His clenched right fist was filled with powerful strength and a low shout broke out from his mouth. "I don't want to see your ugly face." He punched out directly and the bubble hood exploded. Then Belmare's fist did not stop for a moment and hit Saint Charmax's face directly. Bang! A huge sound broke out, and from this sound, we can know how terrifying the power of Belmare's punch is. The power of this punch is simply not something that a normal human can bear. Saint Charmax's body flew out like a cannonball and then hit a building in the distance. In an instant, everyone was stunned, whether it was the civilians kneeling on the ground or the guards of the celestial dragons. Their eyes were as big as copper bells. They could never have imagined that someone would actually dare to attack the celestial dragons and even kill them. That so-called Charmax saint was hit in the face by Belmare and he died. If they beat up the celestial dragons, the Navy headquarters would have to let the generals deal with the matter. What would killing a celestial dragon bring? At least 2 generals. Well done, Belmare. Chen Tian came over with Robin, Kingsu and others, but this celestial dragon is really unlucky. He actually attacked a child in front of you. Isn't that asking for death? Sorry, Captain, I'm sorry to trouble you. Belmare lowered his head slightly and said a little embarrassedly, "Idiot." Chen Tian frowned and suddenly shouted loudly, "I'm your captain." The meaning of this title is not only to make you obey me under my command, but more importantly, when you shouted these 2 words, "We are a family." If there is such a thing in the future, just act according to your own ideas. The only thing you did wrong is to apologize, understand? And even if you don't take action, I won't sit idly by. Robin said with a faint smile at this time. At the same time, the black-clad man who followed the celestial dragon pointed at Chen Tian and the others and cursed them. His voice became hysterical. "You bunch of idiots. How dare you attack the celestial dragons? You are dead. Everyone here is dead, including himself." As a guard of the celestial dragons, he watched Saint Charmax being beaten to death. He had no chance of survival. Get rid of these guys too. They are scum who help the evil. They are not much different from the celestial dragons. Hearing this, Robin rushed out directly. The ropes formed by countless hands tied up all the guards in a few breaths. Chen Tian glanced at the guards. There was no real strong man among them. After you get rid of them, get ready for a fierce battle. The Navy headquarters is very close to here, and they have a very fast guy. It will definitely be too late to leave, but it doesn't matter. This time, it's just right for the world to see what it means to suffer from your own actions. Chen Tian smiled slightly, and when the voice fell, a special momentum emanated from his body. After being forced to rebel by the Navy, they became pirates and killed the celestial dragons. I wonder what they would think. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 183, The Wretched Kizaru. What did you say? Saint Chamka was killed in the Sabaody archipelago? The purple-haired pirates? Looking at the lieutenant colonel who came in to report, Sengoku's eyes widened instantly. He couldn't believe that someone dared to kill the celestial dragons. This was really a joke. What kind of ghosts were those purple-haired pirates? Were they crazy to attack the celestial dragons? Even the celestial dragons were killed? How terrible. Kizaru was also in Sengoku's office at this time. He looked wretched to begin with, and he deliberately made a scared expression, which made him look even more wretched. However, although he looked wretched, he was still very strong. After all, he was one of the 3 admirals of the navy. A mere pirate dared to do such a thing in Sabaody. It was simply a challenge to the navy headquarters and the world government. Marshal Sengoku, let me handle this matter. I will definitely make those pirates die. Akainu slowly stood up at this time. His face was terribly gloomy, and there was a flash of murderous intent in his eyes. Zanji Yuo took a deep breath, calmed himself down, and said immediately, this matter must be dealt with seriously. The celestial dragons were killed in Sabaody. The world government will definitely react. Before that, we must minimize the impact of the matter. Borsalino, you are the fastest. Go to the Sabaody archipelago immediately. I don't want those pirates to escape. Do you understand? At the same time, Sakazuki will rush over on a warship. Hearing this, Kizaru stood up helplessly, sighed and said, okay, I know. I'll rush over now. What a disgusting pirate. It's obviously rest time, and you still make me tired. Kizaru is a person who hates trouble very much. Punching in and out of get off work is his pursuit. So although his ability of the flash fruit can solve this matter quickly, he can't muster any energy. If it weren't for the fact that this time it was about the celestial dragons, he probably wouldn't bother to move. But at this time, Akainu's face was a little unhappy. He said in a deep voice, they are just pirates that I'm chasing. Do I need to go there too? If Borsalino goes, he should be able to get rid of those criminals. Thinking back to the beginning, this Chen Tian was chased by him to the point where he had no way to go up to the sky or down to the earth. Now he still needs Borsalino to take action. Isn't this a slap in his face? Isn't it enough to get rid of those pirates? If we only send one general to kill the celestial dragons, the world government will definitely be dissatisfied. Even if the world government does not respond, the celestial dragons in Mary GIs will be dissatisfied, so we need to show enough attitude. Even if it is just a formality, you have to go there. Sengoku was also very irritated in his heart. He was disgusted with the purple-haired pirate group that had caused such a big mess. He even regretted why he only sent one Sakazuki at the beginning. Why didn't he let others go together and kill this Chen Tian directly? Sabaody Archipelago. Chen Tian sat on the ground with his eyes closed, while King Zhu, Robin, Belma and others were guarding him. Compared with before, there were many more corpses around, including those of the navy, bounty hunters, and those of the celestial dragons. Anyone who attacked Chen Tian and others, no matter who they were, was directly dealt with by King Zhu and Robin. From beginning to end, Chen Tian did not take action, but anyone could see that he was the leader of King Zhu and others, and his strength was definitely not weak. System, give me a low-level lottery. I hope I can get something powerful this time. Otherwise, I'm really not sure about facing the 2 admirals of the navy. Chen Tian said to the system in his heart at this time. With the fighting power of King Zhu, Robin, Belma and others, they have absolutely no resistance to the admirals, and they must take action by themselves. But they killed all the celestial dragons. If the navy headquarters did not have a brain cramp, they would never let only one admiral come. Although the fighting power shown by the few of them was not excessive, the killing of the celestial dragons touched the bottom line of the world government. Until now, Chen Tian didn't know that old man Garp accidentally revealed his strength. Start the low-level lottery. Ding, the draw is successful. Before listening to the system's report, Chen Tian stood up all of a sudden, his eyes fixed on the front. Robin and the others around him were also ready for battle at this moment. Not far in front of them, a golden light flashed, and then turned into a wretched guy. Black and slightly curly short hair, wearing a pair of sunglasses, a circle of stubble on his face, tall and thin, wearing a yellow and white striped suit, a purple tie, a dark green shirt, and white leather shoes. Who else could it be if it wasn't Kizaru, one of the 3 admirals of the Navy? How terrible. You are also murderous. This old man's body can't stand it. Kizaru looked at Chenshin and others, and then pretended to be scared and said, but his pretended fear should not be too fake. It will not make people feel that he is afraid at all, but will make people think that he is mocking. Admiral Kizaru, it's you who rushed here. After all, you are the fastest among the 3 admirals. But you came here alone. Are you confident in your own strength or stupid? Chen Tian also stood up at this time, staring at Kizaru. What a scary look, brother. Kizaru smiled as he spoke. You didn't flee immediately after attacking the celestial dragons, which shows that you are very confident in your own strength. I just don't know if this confidence is blind. Purple hair pirates, I have heard of your name many times before. From today on, you will remember this name. As soon as the voice fell, Chen Tian rushed out, flashed several times in a row, and his fists were covered with armed color domineering, and he punched Kizaru, and the ink-colored domineering aura overflowed at this moment. Sure. In an instant, Kizaru retreated at high speed, dodged the punch, and appeared behind Chenshin. Brother, have you been kicked by the speed of light again? The moment the voice fell, Robin and the others did not react. Kizaru's powerful kick hit Chenshin, but he did not feel that he had kicked anything. The beam of light kicked out by the tip of the toe also landed on a building not far away, making a huge explosion. Then, Chenshin's figure reappeared behind Kizaru like an illusion. It's worthy of the Pikachu fruit. The speed is fast enough. Even Garp at that time was about the same speed as Kizaru, or even a little slower. If it weren't for his observation haki, he might not be able to react. Chapter 184. Is there a problem with waiting for support? Such a powerful physical skill, almost comparable to that old guy Garp. Kizaru, who is not particularly good at domineering, will feel very troubled. In a corner far away, Rayleigh was watching this battle. He originally planned to leave to avoid getting into trouble, but seeing Chenshin so calmly waiting for the arrival of the admiral, he became more interested in this strange boy. However, he couldn't figure out how Chenshin's hair turned purple. It was quite beautiful. Touching his grey hair, Rayleigh envied Chenshin. When he was full of blonde hair, he was as handsome as Chenshin, and many girls chased him. But now, even if it was auctioned, no pretty girl was willing to buy it. Alas. It's all tears, if I say too much. When Chenshin appeared behind him, Kizaru immediately turned into an element to avoid the punch from behind. Then his eyes slightly condensed, and he said slowly, "This doesn't sound like a compliment. The young man is very powerful." This time it was not a mockery. Kizaru really felt that it was difficult, and he might even lose the battle. When I first heard Vice Admiral Garp say that, I was a little unconvinced. Now I have really witnessed the power of Chen Tian's physical skills. That's fine, at least I can fly, and my speed is fast enough. But this pervert's flying speed is not slower than mine. You are also very fast, and have good combat experience, otherwise my punch just now would really beat you into a meat pie. Chen Tian maintained the state of flying in the air dance at this time. Kizaru is indeed not the kind of strong man who is proficient in the 3 colors of domineering, because his own fruit ability is too powerful. Even if he is not proficient in domineering, it does not prevent him from having the strength of a general. And in fact, this guy's observation haki is not bad. If I'm beaten into a meat pie so easily by this little brother, I will not be able to report to Marshal Sengoku. At this moment, Kizaru turned into light in an instant, and rushed into the air. At the place where he just stood, countless delicate hands chased directly towards the sky. Robin's hands were originally flesh colored, but she added the armed color domineering on them at this moment, so they turned black. She had intended to launch a sneak attack, but now that Kizaru had noticed, her arm couldn't catch up with Kizaru. What a pity. I finally learned the armament haki, but I didn't expect it to not work. Robin was a little regretful. Chenshin was very surprised. He had already taught them how to practice haki, but he didn't expect Robin to be the first to learn it. Young man, it's not good to be unethical. You actually want to launch a sneak attack on an old comrade like me who is almost 50 years old. It seems that I have to teach you a lesson. As he said this, Kizaru crossed his hands in midair, and dazzling light gathered in his hands. Shakuguni Yangmagatama. The moment these words came out, countless dazzling light bullets flew out, and they fell like rain. There was no way to dodge this large-scale attack. All of you hide behind me. As soon as the words fell, Chen Tian took out a long sword and swung it with both hands. Every time he swung it, he would cut out a slash of hundreds of meters in an instant and collided with the light bullets in mid-air. Boom. 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 The endless explosions resounded through the sky. When the explosions faded, the figures of the crowd reappeared. But compared to Kizaru's indifference, Chen Tian couldn't help but feel helpless at this moment. The ordinary longsword in his hand couldn't bear his powerful force and had turned into a piece of scrap metal. How terrible. Are the purple hair pirates a bunch of monsters? I never knew that. Kizaru also saw at this moment that Chen Tian's strength would definitely not be weaker than his, and even much stronger. In addition, Robin, who had already taken action, was almost as strong as a vice admiral, and the remaining few would not be much weaker. Well, another admiral is coming too, so let's deal with you first. It's really dangerous to be in charge. Spreading his hands, Chen Tian's observation haki had already sensed Sasuke's location. Now he was not far from the Sabaody archipelago, and would arrive here soon. Although he was not afraid of these two people, Robin and others might be implicated, which was something Chen Tian didn't want to see. Yellow Monkey's wretched face wrinkled. Young man, you are really confident. Do you want to defeat me easily? I admit that you are strong, but I didn't say that I'm not your opponent, right? Do you look down on me like this? But before he could react, Chen Tian had come behind him and punched him in the back. After Yellow Monkey came back to react, he immediately transformed into an element, trying to avoid Chen Tian's attack. Everything was the same as before. The only difference was that Chen Tian's right fist was black this time. I don't know when the high-level armed color domineering wrapped his right fist. Bang. Boom. Being hit by this powerful punch, Yellow Monkey flew out like a cannonball, and his speed was no slower than his flash fruit. After flying for several kilometers, he finally landed on the ground. In an instant, the entire Sabaody archipelago was covered with dust, and the island number 47 where Yellow Monkey landed slowly collapsed and sank to the bottom of the sea. Fortunately, Kizaru was still strong. He endured the pain of 3 broken ribs and flew up at the first time, so he didn't fall into the sea. The little brother's strength is really extraordinary. Ahem. Covering his chest, Kizaru couldn't help coughing. Now his face was no longer etched, but serious and vigilant. He even began to think about whether he should slip away first. Although this time he didn't kill him, it might be different if he got hit again. Thinking of what Garp said at the beginning, Kizaru really regretted why he didn't believe it. Judging from Chen Tian's strength, Garp was not only not exaggerated, but also conservative. He didn't say that this monster could fly at the beginning. But fortunately, his observation haki sensed a Kano, and his heart was slightly relieved. Since I can't beat him, I can delay it for a while, but Marshal Sengoku can't complete his mission, and I may have to deduct part of my salary. Thinking of this, Kizaru instantly turned into a ball of golden light, pulled away from Chen Tian, and looked at him from a distance. Although he felt sorry for his salary, his life was more important than his salary, so he could still make a choice. Kizaru, you are an admiral after all. This is not good. Chen Tian was a little speechless. Are the admirals of the navy so uncool now? Just give in? But who is Kizaru? He doesn't care about his face at all. Brother, I have been seriously injured. I don't want to die here. Is there any problem waiting for my colleagues to support me? Chapter 185 Cold Spirit Bonefire. When Kizaru retreated in a wretched manner, Chen Tian turned around slowly. After he turned around, a large number of Navy soldiers appeared in his field of vision. It seemed that the Navy reinforcement had arrived. However, the guy in the lead was not the admiral of the Navy headquarters, but a guy with a helmet, engraved with a two-headed dragon pattern and a very ferocious expression. The vice admiral of the Navy headquarters, Ghost Spider. Although he is not an admiral, the strength of the vice admiral of the headquarters is also extremely strong. Ghost Spider is good at returning life, and can make his hair as flexible as his arms. Counting his own hands and the arms formed by his hair, he has spider-like hands. Moreover, when fighting, each hand holds a sword. This guy is also a swordsman. Can you please stop moving forward? Just as Ghost Spider led hundreds of Navy soldiers to move forward quickly, Chen Tian flashed and directly blocked them in front of him, tilted his head slightly, and said slowly. When he finished speaking, King Su was about to come over to help, but Robin reached out to stop him and shook his head. This meant that they didn't need to intervene in this battle, but King Su still stared at that direction with her eyes fixed. If Kizaru was going to launch a sneak attack, she would never stand idly by. The captain of the purple-haired pirate group, the demon Chen Tian. He dared to attack the celestial dragons, and his crime was extremely heinous. Ghost Spider stared at Chen Tian, his face gloomy to the extreme. He was a member of the Navy Hawk, known as the black-haired demon. When performing a mission, he didn't care, even if he hurt his subordinates. As soon as the voice fell, Ghost Spider waved his hand, and hundreds of Navy soldiers behind him all picked up their weapons. Those holding swords rushed towards Chen Tian, and those holding guns began to shoot crazily. It must be said that the Navy soldiers led by a hawkish general like Ghost Spider were strictly disciplined and obeyed orders. But at this moment, the faces of those Navy soldiers suddenly changed, because they saw that the bullets shot from their guns directly hit Chen Tian, but all of them were bounced away. This powerful defense is not given by the armament haki, but by Chen Tian's own body. Bang! At this moment, Ghost Spider suddenly took out a gun, and the bullet with armament haki attached to it flew towards Chen Tian. However, this bullet with armament haki was no different from other bullets. It hit Chen Tian's body, and then Ghost Spider could only watch the bullet being bounced out. Vice Admiral Ghost Spider. That guy's strength is a bit scary. Let's wait for Sakazuki to come. Ahem. Yellow Monkey suddenly issued a warning at this time, to prevent Ghost Spider from dying here. It's a pity that Ghost Spider didn't listen to him at all. As one of the representatives of the Hawk faction, how could he be afraid of fighting? They have long disliked a big bastard like Yellow Monkey, and it is even more impossible for them to listen to him. However, seeing Yellow Monkey's injuries, he still had the necessary vigilance. At the same time, Chen Tian looked at the groups of Navy in front of him, and Ghost Spider who had already activated the life plan, and was walking towards him with a long sword, and the corners of his mouth rose, revealing a faint smile. Then, a new long sword appeared in his hand, and he exhaled lightly, and the long sword slowly crossed his chest. Then, a low shout came from his mouth. Draw the sword and cut, Lengling. The sword energy turned into flames and instantly spread across the front. Those Navy who rushed up were corroded by the flames and screamed piercingly. This is exactly the item that was drawn in the previous lottery, Lengling Bone Fire. In Duppo, Lengling Bone Fire is Yao Leo's bottom line fire, with powerful abilities. It is obviously in the form of flames, but it produces extreme ice after burning, which can be said to be extremely powerful. The only pity is that the Lengling Bone Fire that Chen Tian drew is a defective version, because the perfect version requires an intermediate lottery to draw. Chen Tian just stood there, watching all this calmly. He is not a bad person, but he is not a good person either. He will not show mercy to those who are his enemies, no matter who they are. Even more accurately, he can no longer be considered a human being in a fundamental sense. After the system transformed him, he had already obtained an infinite upper limit, which could be endlessly improved, which was incomparable to ordinary humans. Don't waste your efforts, Ghost Spider. With your strength, you can't hurt me, even if I stand still. Chen Tian's figure was standing there, and then he started to mock. In fact, he himself didn't know what level he had to reach to hurt him under his full defense, but it was certain that Ghost Spider's domineering attainments could not reach that level. Secondly, Ghost Spider didn't have a high attack, so he was destined to be Chen Tian's opponent from the beginning. He could only see where Chen Tian was, but couldn't hurt the real Chen Tian. Damn it. Ghost Spider's face was so gloomy that water was about to drip out, but just as Chen Tian said, he had already tried his best, but couldn't hurt Chen Tian at all. But Chen Tian was there, standing there. He didn't even fight back. What, are you afraid in your heart, and don't dare to attack me again? If you only have this little courage, I will be very disappointed, Ghost Spider. How could I be afraid of you, a damn pirate? With a roar, Ghost Spider didn't care about the Navy soldiers around him who were frozen by the cold spirit bone fire. He directly waved his long sword and rushed towards Chen Tian. With the attachment of armament haki, his long sword instantly turned black. Swish. Continuous slashes fell towards Chen Tian frantically, constantly slashing at Chen Tian's body, head, limbs, torso, leaving no place unto shade. But every time his sword fell, Chen Tian's body surface would be entangled with dark armament haki. After his sword landed on this armament haki, he could only return empty-handed again and again. Humans are the law of the jungle. It is normal to be afraid of the strong. Why should you be ashamed of this? Chen Tian's figure reappeared on the right side of Ghost Spider, and a calm voice came from his mouth. Stop talking nonsense here. Ghost Spider slashed to the right with a knife, and once again chopped Chen Tian's head, but he couldn't cause any harm to the real Chen Tian. The more this happened, the more fear grew in Ghost Spider's heart. This man, even if he stood there and let himself attack wantonly, still couldn't hurt him at all. Is he still a human? Since you are so loyal to the Navy, I will let you see my most powerful attack at this stage. Chen Tian said slowly, and at this moment his figure had already gathered behind Ghost Spider. The long sword in his hand turned pure black under the effect of the armed color domineering, and the white cold spirit bone fire lingered on it, and the extremely terrifying power overflowed at this moment. Chapter 186 Suppressing the Magma. Through the fight with Ghost Spider, he did basically judge the power of the incomplete version of Cold Spirit Bone Fire, which was almost the same as the top level fruit such as Magma Fruit, or even higher. At this moment, the flame formed by the Cold Spirit quickly gathered on the long sword in Chen Tian's hand. Then, under the influence of the armed color domineering, the originally pale white flame instantly turned into pure black. Pitch black, like the color of the night. This move was not an ability he got from the system, but a move created by combining the sword slash and the cold spirit bone fire. Even a being like Kizaru would find it extremely difficult to resist this move. In other words, if it is just one move, the move he created is already very close to the attack of the four emperors. Its name is Secret Cold Spirit Slash. As soon as the voice fell, Chen Tian slashed at Ghost Spider with a knife, and the pitch black flames instantly swept out, submerging Ghost Spider's entire body. No one knew what was going on in the flames. However, the screams of Ghost Spider could be heard. As a Vice Admiral of the Navy headquarters, and one of the big figures of the Hawk faction, Ghost Spider himself is an iron-blooded man. Even he can make such a painful scream, which shows what kind of torture this move will bring to the enemy. After a long time, the flames slowly dissipated, and the burnt black but frost-covered Ghost Spider fainted, and fell to the ground. As expected of a Vice Admiral of the Navy headquarters, and a master who is good at returning life, you were caught off guard and completely hit by my cold spirit slash, but you still have a breath left. Looking at the Ghost Spider lying on the ground, Chen Tian said slowly. The next moment, Chen Tian grasped the long sword and walked towards Ghost Spider. I will end your pain. After all, in your current situation, even if you are rescued, you may not be able to recover in the future. Moreover, I don't have the habit of leaving enemies for myself in the future, so. Dog bites Red Lotus. Just as Chen Tian's blade was about to fall on Ghost Spider, a roar came from behind him, and the lava limbs in the shape of a dog's head bit towards him. Almost subconsciously, he gave up on dealing with the spider demon, and leaped to a position more than 10 meters in front of him on the right. At the same time, he slashed out a sword energy, forcibly blocking the lava that rushed over. You can even kill the spider demon. You, the criminal, have grown a little bit. But, didn't Borsellino carry out his mission seriously? If you can't even suppress a pirate like you, how can you be called the highest combat force of the Navy headquarters? The man wearing a rose brooch, a dark red suit, a navy cap on his head, black leather gloves on his hands, and a Navy admiral's coat behind him walked step by step to the spider demon. And this guy is the leader of the Hawk Navy, the highest combat force of the Navy headquarters, the natural system magma fruit ability user, and one of the 3 admirals, Akainu, Sakazuki. However, Chen Tian was not surprised to see this guy appear. Belmare killed the celestial dragon. In his opinion, the Navy headquarters would never send an admiral to come. If it was somewhere else, it might be better, as only Kizaru could arrive. But this is the Sabaody archipelago, which is very close to the Navy headquarters. As long as Kizaru can delay for a while, the other admirals can arrive at the battlefield immediately. Well, long time no see, you have changed from Sakazuki to Red Dog, Chen Tian said lightly. They are also old friends. Sakazuki chased him a lot in the past, but Chen Tian really cares about the safety of Robin and others. The attack range of Sakazuki and Kizaru is larger than that of Kizaru, which can easily affect them. Moreover, Akainu believes in absolute justice, and his methods are cruel and merciless, and he will never allow a trace of evil to exist. In order to complete the task, he can annihilate his colleagues and ordinary people without any care. Therefore, if a fight really breaks out, he will not hesitate at all, even if he destroys the Sabaody archipelago, in order to deal with Chen Tian. It seems that this time, I can only give up like this, and settle accounts with him later. Seeing Chen Tian and Akainu confronting each other, Rayla's eyes in the distance also changed a little. He picked up a long sword from somewhere, then sighed and took his steps with a helpless look. At the same time, he murmured to himself, if necessary, it is better to protect the young pirates. I have to say that I'm also a little interested in this kid. If he took action, he would inevitably cause trouble for himself, but the trouble would not be too big because neither the world government nor the Navy headquarters were actually willing to provoke him, a remnant of the Roger pirates. Because he was very powerful and generally did not cause trouble, the Navy headquarters actually had no need to provoke an admiral level enemy for themselves. Are you ready to die, pirate? A low voice came out of his mouth, and then Akainu's arms turned into lava directly, and he rushed out quickly to approach Chen Tian, and then punched without hesitation. It only took a blink of an eye to knock Chen Tian's head off. Yellow Monkey, who was wandering in the distance, saw this scene and couldn't help but twitch his mouth, and a bitter smile appeared on his face. Who gave you the courage to fight this freak in close combat? Before the fight, couldn't you look at me and see how miserable I'm now before deciding whether to fight or not? Sure enough, Chen Tian did not disappoint Yellow Monkey. Seeing Akainu's reckless attack, Chen Tian also stretched out his right fist, which was wrapped with pale flames. Aren't Akainu's magma fruits the best touchstone? It's just right to see how powerful the cold spirit bone fire is. Boom. The two casserole-sized fists collided with each other, and Akainu, who was originally disdainful, suddenly changed his face. The boiling magma in his hand actually began to freeze under this strange flame, which was something that Aokiji couldn't do. If it was just like this, it would be fine, but this white flame with a low temperature that can freeze, why would it make you feel hot? I'm magma. You freeze me and keep roasting me, isn't it a bit too much? What kind of flame is this? In a hurry, Akainu abandoned the magma on his right arm and retreated at a high speed. After pulling away, he looked at Chen Tian solemnly and was very afraid of the cold spirit bone fire in his hand. Chapter 187 Safe Evacuation. Chen Tian looked at the white flame on his hand, and then he moved his eyes to Akainu. I'm sorry Red Dog, I don't have time to play with you here today, and after this time, I think my name will be known throughout the world in no time. By the way, remember my name, I'm Chen Tian, the captain of the Wanji pirates. He had no intention of continuing to fight with Akainu. It was not a simple matter to fight for life and death with the admiral of the Navy headquarters here, and once the time was dragged on too long, Marshal Sengoku would also find that the situation was not right, and more Navy would definitely come to support. If the old guy Garp came, things would be troublesome. The old guy who was called the hero of the Navy had unfathomable strength. There were even many people who firmly believed that Iron Fist Garp's strength was even higher than the Admiral, and he was the kind of powerful existence that was enough to suppress the Admiral. Even if he had a good relationship with Garp, Old Man Garp would never let him go on such a matter of position. And the name of his own pirate group should also be changed. The purple-haired pirate group is really ugly. These Navy people are bad at naming. It just so happens that the system can connect the 10,000 worlds. It would be great to take over Kushina, Minato, and Hang in the future. So the name of the 10,000 worlds pirates can be said to be just right. Robin, Kingsu, today's farce is over. Let's save some face for the two admirals for now. Their lives are temporarily in their own hands. They can make up for today's regrets in the future. Hearing the change in Chen Tian's tone, Robin and others didn't say much. They came behind him obediently and let Kizaru, who was blocking the other side, come over. How terrible, the 10,000 worlds pirates. A ray of light fell beside Akainu, and Kizaru had no intention of taking action at this moment. He was much more rational than Akainu. He knew very well that, even if he continued to attack now, he was not sure that he could keep Chenshin and the 10,000 world's pirates here, and his injuries did affect his combat effectiveness. If Chenshin really went crazy on the spot, it was hard to say whether he could survive. At this time, Nami and Nezuko also sailed to the vicinity. "Old man, you have been watching for so long. Don't you plan to help? We are planning to leave. If you are targeted by these navy, it will be very troublesome." Chen Tian turned his head and looked in the direction that had become a ruin. Just after he said this, an old man walked out slowly from behind the ruins. He held an ordinary longsword in his hand and smiled awkwardly. "Ha ha ha, if you don't say it, they won't find me here, so in fact, this trouble is brought to me by you. Remember to treat me to a drink in the future." Seeing the appearance of this old man, Akainu and Kizaru's eyes suddenly changed. They knew this old man. Pluto Rayleigh. I didn't expect this guy to be hiding around. If this old guy is here, it's not that there is no confidence in keeping the Wanji pirates, but that there is no confidence at all. There is even a great possibility that both of their navy admirals will be left here. Pluto Rayleigh could definitely stop one of them, and the remaining person facing the monster like Chenshin was not a wise choice, no matter how you think about it. Moreover, Kizaru was injured. He could delay time when facing Rayleigh, but it was no use when facing Chenshin. Chenshin's flying speed of the flying technique was not worse than Kizaru, and he had no chance to deal with it. Not to mention Akainu, the magma fruit was obviously restrained by the cold spirit bone fire, and without the biggest trump card, he might not be Chenshin's opponent. No matter how you look at it, if they really fight today, they will suffer. I owe you a drink, and I will pay you back when I have time. After saying this, Chenshin turned around without looking back, and jumped with King and Robin, and landed directly on the deck in the distance, setting sail. Akainu and Kizaru were both wary of Pluto Rayleigh at this moment, and their faces were uncertain. They looked at each other, and did not go forward, to stop Chenshin from leaving. At this time, Rayleigh waved his hand, and said with a smile, "I have no intention of stopping you. You can do whatever you want. After all, I'm already a retired old man." That being said, how could Akainu and Kizaru be so careless when he was here? If they really took action, and were attacked by Chenshin and Rayleigh, the Sabaody archipelago would most likely be their burial place. After a long pause, Akainu walked forward with a gloomy face and shouted, "Don't even think about leaving so easily, meteor volcano. In that case, I will also give you a gift." Akainu had already taken action, so Kizaru naturally could not sit idly by. He flew into the air in an instant, and fired countless light bullets at the ship that was getting farther and farther away. Yoshikuni no Magatama. And Pluto Rayleigh did not intend to stop these two people from taking action. He was an old man. Wouldn't it be too much to let an old man fight two generals alone? Moreover, in his opinion, Akainu's meteor volcano and Kizaru's Shakuj Magatama were simply not able to stop the weird little guy from the Bankei pirates. Looking at the lava fist and light bullets flying towards him, Chen Tian raised his lips slightly and then slashed the long sword in his hand directly into the air. With one slash, thousands of blades came out. All the light bullets that felt like rain were directly stopped in the air, causing an amazing explosion. Then, he raised one of his hands high, and then a cold shout came from his mouth. Cold spirit bone fire. White flames fill the sky. As soon as the voice fell, the white flames instantly formed a huge shield, which completely blocked the top of their ship. Only the sound of the lava fist falling on the black flames was heard, and the extraordinary heat could be felt, but no one fell on their ship. Kinksu, let's go directly to the Seven Waters. It's time for the Bank of the World's Pirates to officially go out to sea. Before, they were called the Purple Hair Pirates, but that didn't count as them going out to sea. Only after they used their own names did they really go out to sea. As he said that, Chenshin moved his eyes to one direction, and then said slowly, "This time, our goal is a new world." If it weren't for the big commotion in the Sabaody archipelago, Chenshin would not bother to go to the Seven Waters. But now, they don't have much time to coat the ship, so they can only wait for the time being, and come back later. In fact, He thought about flying the ship across the Red Earth continent, but that was too dangerous and easy to be sniped by the world government. Not to mention, so many strong men in the Navy. There are also the Army and the Air Force. This is not the way to commit suicide. Chapter 188 Emergency Meeting. Marine Headquarters, Marineford. In the conference room, all the high-ranking officers of the Navy have gathered together, including the 3 admirals, Iron Fist Garb, Chief of Staff Churu, and a Vice Admiral of the headquarters. The gathering of all these people is enough to show the seriousness of the situation this time, but many people still don't know why Marshal Sengoku suddenly called an emergency meeting of this level. Is it possible to go to war with an emperor of the new world? Marshal, what happened? Another point is, why hasn't Vice Admiral Ghost Spider arrived yet? Just when Marshal Sengoku announced the official start of the meeting, Vice Admiral Doberman, who is also a hawkish general, immediately asked. Other high-ranking officers of the Navy were also a little confused. It was clearly an emergency meeting for everyone, so why didn't Ghost Spider show up? At this time, Zanji Yuo looked at the senior Navy officer sitting below with a serious face, and said in a deep voice, the spider demon is being rescued. Even if he is rescued, it will be difficult for him to recover to his original physical condition. Hearing this news, many people's faces changed. Vice Admiral Mole couldn't help asking, who can severely injure the spider demon to such an extent? Did the 4 emperors of the new world take action? Is it Kaido or Big Mom? Because white beard and red hair, as long as they are not provoked, they generally will not take action against the Navy. So the first thing Vice Admiral Mole thought of was the always tyrannical Kaido, the Beast, and Charlotte Linlin, who was called the Steel Balloon. If it is really the 4 emperors who take action, then it means that the headquarters of the Navy will usher in a big battle, a hard battle. Although they are not afraid of going to war with the 4 emperors, they also know what consequences will be caused by going to war with an emperor of the new world. No, this matter has nothing to do with the 4 emperors of the new world. Just when everyone's face was serious, and some people were even prepared to go to war with the 4 emperors, Sengoku shook his head and said in a deep voice, it was the Bankei pirates that caused this situation. Many people were stunned at this moment. They had never heard of the name of this pirate group. What is the Bankei Pirates? Could it be a big pirate group on the other side of the new world? But if so, they, the senior executives, should have heard of it. Then, Marshal Sengoku continued, don't think about it. Even Chen Tian, who was previously defined as the purple hair pirate group by us, has a bounty of 1.1 billion baileys. Apart from him, the highest bounty for other members is only over 100 million. From the beginning, we underestimated the strength of this pirate group, so it led to the current situation. Vice Admiral Churu also spoke at this time. Not long ago, the Bank of the World's pirate group appeared in the Sabaody archipelago and killed the celestial dragon, Charmark Saint on the island. After receiving this news, Marshal Sengoku asked Admiral Sakazuki and Borsalino to rush to the Sabaody archipelago at the same time to express his position, but in the end, they failed to keep the Bank of the World's pirate group. What? Everyone couldn't help but exclaimed. Even the admirals failed to keep the Bank of the World's pirate group? In other words, and with the help of 2 admirals, this is a bit scary. An unknown pirate group actually has the strength to escape from the hands of the admirals. Don't think that escaping is a simple matter. The supernovas of Luffy's generation were all pirates with bounties of over 100 million, but in front of Kizaru, they were like powerless children, and were easily killed by him. After all, he is the admiral, the highest combat power of the marine headquarters. Amid the surprise of everyone, Akainu said with a gloomy face, the opponent is not weak. Even if Borsalino and I want to take them down, it is not an easy task. Moreover, Ghost Spider was defeated without even injuring the opponent. Being able to resist the Admiral and defeat the Vice Admiral Ghost Spider of the headquarters without any injury, such a great pirate is definitely a prestigious existence even in the new world. But looking at the injuries on Kizaru's body, everyone looked at Akainu with a little weird eyes. The difference between not easy to take down and not being able to take down is not a little bit. You look like it's not easy to take down. But Akainu is an admiral, and everyone didn't say it out loud. At this time, Vice Admiral Chiru spoke again. After this period of investigation, we found that the Bankai pirates have been purchasing devil fruits and have a certain connection with the Jimingjin. Compared with the close relationship between Chenshin and Jimingjin, it is not surprising that they were discovered. With a little investigation, it is not surprising to come to this conclusion. However, this piece of news seems to have led the high-ranking officers of the Navy astray. In other words, the Bankai pirates are actually part of the Jimingjin. With such strength, they are probably leaders in the Jimingjin. Judging from the current situation, Chenshin is likely to be deliberately hidden by the Jimingjin. Vice Admiral Mole fully demonstrated what it means to analyze like a tiger. If the Navy's intelligence system is more professional, it should be found out that Chenshin and Long are only in a trading relationship, but Long has been trying to win over Chenshin. Of course, even if this is found out, the high-ranking officers of the Navy may suspect that this is a way for the Jimingjin to protect Chenshin. At this moment, Marshall Zanjiuo slammed the table and then said seriously, no matter what the situation is, what we can be sure of now is that the Bank of the World's pirates is very dangerous and their combat power is also very strong. Now they are still in the first half, so no matter what, we can't let them enter the new world. Once they enter the new world, with the protection of Jimingjin, it will be dramatically difficult for us to get rid of them. The world government has issued an order to capture the Bank of the World's pirates and publicly execute their captain, Chen Tian. This is to warn all those who want to take action against the celestial dragons and let them know how serious the consequences of taking action against the celestial dragons will be. Marshall Zanjiuo took a deep breath and then continued, now, I will announce the latest bounty for the Bank of the World's pirates. The captain of the Bank of the World's pirates, the demon Chen Tian, has a bounty of 1.5 billion baileys, regardless of life or death. The Bank of the World's pirates fighter Belmare has a bounty of 500 million baileys, regardless of life or death. The Bank of the World's pirates navigator King Zhu has a bounty of 500 million baileys, regardless of life or death. The archaeologist of the Bankai pirates, the son of the devil, Nico Robin, bounty of 500 million berries, dead or alive. The chef of the Bankai pirates, Yui, bounty of 300 million berries, dead or alive. Chapter 189 Reactions from all parties. New world, on the sea. A huge ship like a white whale sails on the sea. Many people around the world know the name of this ship. Moby Dick, one of the 4 emperors of the New World, is the main ship of Edward Newgate, Whitebird, who is known as the strongest man in the world. Whitebird led his sons and created an era with this mothership. Dad, there are interesting guys on the sea again. Marco, with a pineapple head, took the news he just got in his hand and walked quickly to the old man with great courage. Killer lalala, every era is indispensable for outstanding newcomers. The 10,000 world's pirates dare to attack the celestial dragons and escape under the siege of 2 generals? Whitebird looked at the newspaper that Marco handed to him and said with a smile, it's good to have such courage. If you can come to the new world, maybe you can become my son. The son recognition maniac is officially online. But at this time, Marco looked at his father with a strange expression. After a moment of silence, he spoke, it is indeed amazing to be able to escape from the hands of 2 admirals. Moreover, the world government probably changed the news. No one can tell whether it is escape or retreat. In any case, this 1G Pirates is quite outstanding. Marco was a little serious when he said this. He knew his father's character very well. The sentence just now was definitely not a joke. As long as the guy named Chenshin came to the new world, his father would probably go to take a son. If that were the case, the Whitebird pirates would have a great chance of causing conflicts with the 1G pirates, or even a war. Killer, Marco, don't worry about too many things. Who do you think I am? Whitebird grinned and laughed. I'm Whitebird. That's right, we are the Whitebird pirates. There is no need to worry about the Bankai pirates. Marco, you are too cautious. Ha ha ha. Seeing the look on his son's faces, Whitebird grinned and drank the wine in big gulps. His body is not as bad as it was 7 years ago. Now he is still the real strongest man in the world. As long as he is there, the Whitebird pirates don't need to be afraid of anyone, even if the opponent is also a 4 emperor or a navy. Hehe, the kid who took the devil fruit from me back then has reached the point where even the admiral can't catch him? Doflamingo held the newspaper that the newsbird had just delivered in his hand and kept laughing. He had a deep impression of Chen Tian. After all, the auction house on the Sabayodi archipelago was his. Before Chen Tian and others left, Kingsu also emptied the auction house. Doflamingo lost his temper a lot for this matter. Dover, do we need to catch this guy? Diamond couldn't help but speak at this time. He also had an impression of Chen Tian, but it was a bad impression. Why do you want to help the Navy deal with that kid? Doflamingo showed a meaningful smile, then turned his head and said to a woman with long green hair below, Monet, I'll give you a task. Go to contact that Chen Tian and tell him something. He owes me a favor for taking the devil fruit from the auction housed in shampoo not long ago. Also tell him to come to the new world quickly. Paradise is not suitable for people like him. Hehe yes, young master. After Monet agreed, she withdrew directly. She would execute the young master's task as soon as possible. New World, Curry Island. Captain, the Navy headquarters has updated some bounties. The bounties are for the fighters of the Bankai pirates. Belmeril, 500 million baileys. The navigator Kiyoshige, 500 million baileys. The historian, the son of the devil, Nico Robin, 500 million baileys. And the captain of the Bankai pirates, the demon species Chen Tian, has a bounty of 1.5 billion baileys. The one who spoke was the red hair pirate Slakaloo. He held a greasy chicken drumstick in his right hand and kept stuffing it into his mouth. The big mouthfuls of chewing looked a little ridiculous. But his strength is not weak. Although he is not as good as Ben Beckman, he also has a bounty of 700 million baileys. Chen Tian? 1.5 billion baileys? Ha. It seems that we didn't make a mistake when we met him before. Shanks smiled and then said excitedly, he has always valued this guy who he met many times by chance and never underestimated him. Now it seems that his strength has increased a lot, or has he always been strong? He didn't believe a word of the news report that Chen Tian escaped. A man like that couldn't escape. And with Chen Tian's strength, he doesn't have to run away from the two admirals. At least he can get back. A bounty of 1.5 billion berries is enough to make him a big pirate. Perhaps this bounty is because of the killing of the celestial dragons, but the Navy headquarters will set such a high bounty, and Chen Tian and his subordinates King Zhu and Robin and others will never be too bad. You know, even the three disasters of the Beast's pirates, the generals of the Big Mob pirates, etc., have many bounties of less than 1 billion berries. But Shanks instinctively felt that Chen Tian's strength is far more than that. Captain, do you want to meet an old friend? Ben Beckman looked up at Shanks and asked slowly. No need, men on the sea will naturally meet one day. Shanks opened his arms and said heroically. Cake Island, Big Mob pirates. Let Smoothie go. If Chen Tian is willing to submit to us, we can give him the position of a general star. If he refuses, then I don't need to tell you how to deal with it, right? The aunt grabbed the delicious cake with one hand and ate it while speaking. Her idea was very simple. If Chen Tian was willing to submit to Wango, she could let bygones be bygones. After all, it would be unreasonable if he didn't have a broad mind to become one of the four emperors. Moreover, Chen Tian's submission could enhance the strength of Wango. Compared with the killing of one of her affiliated pirate groups many years ago, Chen Tian's value is undoubtedly greater now. But if Chen Tian refuses, then she will never let him go. It's true that the four emperors have broad minds, but they are more majestic. As her enemy, she is unwilling to submit to Wango and work for her. What's the point of keeping him? Do you really think that the pirate group that was killed by him in O'Hara is fine? Don't be too naive. And Nico Robin has always known that she can understand the text of history, and she must master it in her own hands. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 197 Water City. Soon, Chen Tian and others came to a prosperous island, where the world's top shipbuilders gathered. It is said that 100 years ago, a warship named Pluto was built by the shipbuilding technicians on the island. Of course, people now have forgotten about the ancient weapons. The reason why the world's top shipbuilders gather here is because of its own culture and history. On the other hand, it is because Master Tom, the world's #1 shipbuilder, is here. And now, Master Tom is also working hard to build a sea train. This is very close to Judicial Island. Remember to hide your identity a little bit, and don't be too ostentatious. Then after we build our own ship, we will go directly to the new world. Before getting off the boat, Chen Tian said to the people around him. At this time, Robin and others covered their figures with a black robe. After all the people in the Wanji pirates were famous. Among their group, the least famous ones are Nami and Nakiko. Agreed. Chen Tian also disguised himself. His purple hair was too conspicuous. Anyone who is not blind will doubt him at first sight. If they happen to have seen his bounty, they will recognize him at a glance. Therefore, he deliberately changed his hair color, turning the original purple into white. Okay, take a rest, as long as you don't expose yourself. Kingsu and Robin, come with me to meet the world's #1 shipbuilder. The rest of you can go for a stroll. You must be a little tired after traveling for so long. After giving the order, Chen Tian went directly to the direction of the wreckage island, which was once the location of Tom's shipbuilding company. However, because Master Tom built a pirate ship for Gold Roger, he was convicted. Therefore, the glorious Tom shipbuilding company no longer exists. Seeing Chen Tian and the others leave, Belemia went back to the cabin to exercise. The previous battle made her realize that she was weak and had to work hard to exercise, and she had no interest in those places of entertainment. Instead of going out, it would be more practical to exercise for a while. What they need to worry about now is whether they will be discovered by the Navy and the world government. Will a large-scale battle break out again in the Seven Water capital? However, it is just a matter of attention. It is difficult for the Navy headquarters to pose a threat to them unless the Navy headquarters dispatches 2 admirals and the troops of the Demon Slayer Order. Otherwise, with Chen Tian present, and they are not weaklings, like Champadi, with only 2 admirals, they cannot deal with the 10,000 world's pirates. It is even possible that the whole army will be wiped out here, because for some reason, Chen Tian's aura has suddenly increased a lot in the past few days, and his strength should be even stronger. Moreover, Chen Tian also said that after the ship is built, he will introduce them to a few people who are also crew members of the 10,000 world's pirates and joined earlier than them. And he said that the strength of those people is very strong, and some of them are not weaker than the Navy admirals, which makes everyone very curious. The 10,000 world's pirates are not short of cats and dogs, and all those who join must be pleasing to Chen Tian. Everyone knows how high Chen Tian's vision is, so they have some expectations for those people. All the way to the wreck island, no one noticed Chen Tian's identity. After all, his disguised appearance is quite different from the bounty order. As expected, hairstyle is the key to determining a person's temperament and image. With his current hairstyle, few people can recognize that he is the pirate with a bounty of 1.5 billion. Although he only changed the color of his hair. Shortly after entering the wreck island, a boy with a blue hedgehog head also discovered them. Before Chen Tian and others approached, the boy shouted loudly, "Hey, what are you doing here?" The moment Chen Tian saw this boy, he knew that this boy was Frankie, the shipwright of the future Straw Hat Pirates. But now Frankie is just his nickname, and few people know that his real name should be Carter Fram, and his body has not been modified by machinery. Frankie. Then, a boy wearing a white turban, who was half a head taller than Frankie, also trotted over. Compared with Frankie, he was much more polite. And this young man with white turban is Frankie's senior brother, Bingshan. After looking at Chen Tian and the others, Bingshan asked politely, "You should not be from the Seven Water City. What's the matter with you coming here?" Because in the Seven Water City, generally no one will come to this place. We are here to find Master Tom. Is he here now? Chen Tian looked at the 2 little guys and said softly. Before Bingshan and Frankie could answer, a fat ox-horned fishman came over. He looked at Chen Tian, then subconsciously protected Bingshan and Frankie behind him and laughed. "Few people will come here, so do you need any help? If so, then say it loudly." Chen Tian still respected this world's #1 shipbuilder very much. Whether it was the sea train he created that saved the water city, or he was convicted after building a ship for Roger, and he had no regrets in his current situation. Or, his heroic and loyal character was worthy of respect. If possible, Chen Tian thought about saving the world's greatest shipbuilder in 2 years. Master Tom, I'm the captain of the Wanji Pirates, Demon Sea Chen Tian. I came here to ask Master Tom to build the best ship in the world. Chen Tian directly stated his identity and purpose at this time. It didn't matter if his identity was exposed here. He believed that Tom would not betray him. Get out. You are not welcome here. Upon hearing Chen Tian's words, Frankie shouted directly, it is because of building ships for you pirates that this place has become like this. Don't talk nonsense, Frankie. Master Tom pressed Frankie's head, then looked at Chen Tian and said seriously, I'm very sorry, I need to use all my time to complete the sea train now, and I really can't help you build a big ship. There are many famous shipbuilders in this 7 water city. I think you can go to them for help. Chapter 191 Master Tom. Master Tom is indeed busy with the sea train. He has put all his energy into it. Only the tracks and sea trains that float on the sea and are not destroyed by the gods of water can save the 7 waters. To build a big ship, it will take 10 days, half a month, or even longer. Especially if a fine ship like the Homecoming wants to be expanded, it will take more time. Maybe it doesn't seem like there are many in the world, but Master Tom can't afford to waste this time now. The sooner the sea train is completed, the sooner the 7 waters can be saved. How can a ship that is not built by the best shipbuilder in the world be called the best ship in the world? Chen Tian shook his head. He also knew that there were many powerful shipbuilders in the 7 waters, but it was difficult to stop them. The best shipbuilder was right in front of him, so why should he look for those who were worse? However, it was not easy to get Master Tom to temporarily put down the sea train and build a big ship for their 10,000 world's pirates. Threats were useless to Tom, and Chen Tian didn't bother to use such despicable means. After a long silence, Chen Tian slowly raised his head, looked at the other party and said, Master Tom, building a ship will not affect the sea train project. I can use a promise in exchange, and the materials will be prepared by our Wanji pirates. Your name is Chen Tian, right? I can see that you are also a well-known man, so you should know that I don't need any promises, just the construction of the sea train. Before Master Tom finished speaking, Chen Tian took a step forward and appeared directly beside Tom, and then spoke slowly in his ear, in a voice that only the two of them could hear. The world government has sent CP agents to sneak into the 7 water city. Their goal is the Pluto design. Master does not need this promise, but these 2 children do. I make a promise in the name of the Wanji pirates. When needed, the Wanji pirates will do their best to protect these 2 children. Chen Tian knew in his heart that in addition to the sea train, what Tom could care about was Frankie and Iceberg. These 2 little guys are Tom's disciples in name, but in fact their relationship is as close as father and son. Tom could ignore his own safety, but he could not ignore the safety of Frankie and Iceberg. After all, he was just a shipwright. Although he was extremely powerful, he was not worth mentioning in front of the world government and the CP organization. After hearing Chen Tian's words, Tom also fell into silence. Chen Tian's words just now hit the softest part of his heart. He was originally a person who should be executed, but he was able to survive until now because of the sea train. To be honest, in his mind, as long as the sea train was completed, he didn't care about life and death at all. But Frankie and Iceberg are different. The lives of these 2 little guys have not really begun. Can I ask a question? After a long while, Tom turned his head suddenly, looked at Chen Tian beside him, and said with a serious face, Excuse me. Chen Tian nodded. What is your purpose? The purpose of going to sea, the purpose of the famous Wanji pirates in your mouth. Tom wanted to know the answer to this question. He built a ship for Roger because he recognized a man like Roger. He felt that he was very honored to be able to contribute to a man like Roger. Since he wants to build a ship, he will naturally go all out, so he also wants to know whether Chen Tian in front of him and the 10,000 world's pirates he mentioned are worthy of the ship he built. Tian was stunned for a moment, then the corners of his mouth slightly changed, revealing a smile. Break free from the shackles. We 10,000 worlds are all for breaking free from the chains imposed on us by this world. He doesn't have any lofty goals, but at least he wants to live without being bound, which has a very broad meaning. As a pirate, as long as they are not caught by others, they are the freest people on the sea. But in fact, the Navy headquarters, the world government, and those so-called high-ranking celestial dragons have imposed invisible constraints on everyone. Therefore, in a broad sense, what Chen Tian wants to do is to change the world. Change the chaotic world where people like the 10,000 worlds pirates are forced to become pirates. Hahaha, I'm not wrong. You are a great man who is not inferior to Roger. Master Tom laughed when he heard this answer. From his eyes, it can be seen that he has recognized Chen Tian. Okay, I promise to build a ship for you. Send the materials here within 7 days. I will definitely build you a great ship so that you can break free from the shackles. Thank you very much. Someone will send the materials here soon. Master Tom will trouble you then. Chen Tian bowed slightly to Tom and then left with Kingsu and Robin. He knew Tom's character. Since the other party promised, he would definitely not break his promise. After careful consideration, he decided to give up the homecoming and build a big ship again. After all, it is too difficult to transform a ship, and the length and keel will also have defects. It is better to rebuild the homecoming than to transform it into an inferior ship in order to preserve it. However, he will not abandon the homecoming, but put it on the new ship as a lifeboat and give it to the old boatman's son after finding him. This is a gift that a father has prepared for his son with his life. Although the trade was given to him, Chen Tian still wanted to return it to its original owner, which was one of the reasons why he changed the ship. If the old shipwright hadn't given him the homecoming, he and Robin would have fallen into the hands of the Navy long ago, and how could they be who they are now? Therefore, repaying the old shipwright with such a thing was also a token of Chen Tian's intention. And now, he plans to find the running dogs of the world government hidden in the Seven Water City. Although according to the time, those guys will find Master Tom in 2 years, but who knows what changes will happen in this world now? Chen Tian doesn't want anyone to disturb Master Tom during this period. It's best to help Master Tom get rid of the trouble forever, but this is not very realistic. The world government is determined to get the Pluto blueprint, and it is impossible to let Master Tom go. And Master Tom is unwilling to leave the Seven Water City, otherwise he can take him away. Although he was forced to become a pirate, Chen Tian is still the same Chen Tian as before. Although there have been some changes, the gratitude will never change. Chapter 192, The Ship of All Worlds. Marine Headquarters. Oh, there are so many emergency meetings during this period. Marshal Sengoku, can I apply for overtime pay? Kizaru said helplessly. It was because of what happened in the Sabaody archipelago that the Marine headquarters held several emergency meetings in succession during this period. After all, the celestial dragons were killed, and their Marine headquarters has not caught the murderer yet. Therefore, the celestial dragons and the world government put crazy pressure on them to wipe out the Bankai pirates. This time there is a real economic event. Get ready to go. Marshal Sengoku said seriously. This time, Sakazuki, Kuzen and Borsalino, the three of you must go out together. This is the request or order of the world government. Alalala, the order of the world government? There will be such an order. They should have found the trace of the Bankai pirates, right? And there is only one Bankai pirates. Do we need the three of us to act together? Aokiji also spoke at this time. Judging from the information of Chen Tian and others obtained in the previous battle of Sabaody, the combat power of the Bankai pirates is about enough for two generals and several vice admirals of the headquarters to deal with. It is unknown whether the two generals can defeat Chen Tian, but at least they can hold him back. In this way, Robin and others are no match for the Navy at all, and the Bankai pirates will be destroyed without a doubt. Don't underestimate the opponent, Kuzen. In addition to the three of you, there are 5 vice admirals of the headquarters, Teo2, Mole, Tamisha, Strawberry and Oberman. A total of 10 warships, 4 major generals, and 10,000 Navy soldiers. Marshal Sengoku announced with a serious face at this moment. Hearing his decision, the 3 generals and other vice admirals present were all stunned. They did not expect to dispatch such a terrifying force. You know, such a force is equivalent to the Demon Slayer Order plus 3 generals. If it is to deal with a certain pirate king, it is reasonable to dispatch such a formation. However, although a 1G pirate group has shown its impressive strength, it is not worth it. Another point is that among the 5 vice admirals dispatched this time, Teotu is also a candidate for admiral, and its strength is definitely second only to the admiral. Marshal Sengoku, are we going too far? A 1G pirate group is still. Vice Admiral Mole was about to say something, but before he finished speaking, he was interrupted by Marshal Sengoku. Mole, this operation is not only to capture a pirate group, but also they are the beasts that kill the celestial dragons. Last time, Sakazuki and Borsalino's failures have made the world government very dissatisfied, so this time, we must not make any mistakes again. Do you understand? Get ready and set off immediately. The 1G pirate group is now in the Seven Water City. 7 days later, Master Tom's shipyard. The huge pirate ship is no worse than Whitebeard's Moby Dick. According to Chen Tian's request, the hull was engraved with the patterns of the members of the Bankei pirates, and there were blanks left. If someone joins later, they only need to find the cover to fill it in without damaging the hull itself. Moreover, this ship is made of the treasure triadum, the world's top material, plus the world's top shipbuilder. Such a ship can only be compared with the Golden Jackson of the former pirate king Goldie Roger. So beautiful. Oh, this is indeed a ship worthy of our Bankei pirates. If the bow is replaced with a statue of Brother Chen Tian, it will be even more perfect. The last sentence was said by Robin, no doubt. It is indeed a ship that can spread the name of Bankei throughout the world, and Master Tom deserves the title of the world's #1 shipbuilder. Chen Tian looked at the ship in front of him at this moment, and his eyes were also shining with a faint light. He seemed to see himself and the future of the Bankei pirates from this ship. It's just a resounding ship. As a shipbuilder, I have done what I should do. However, I have to say that this ship will never be inferior to the Golden Jackson. Master Tom also looked at the ship he built with satisfaction, and then turned to Chen Tian and said, give it a name. I hope you can treat it well. For a moment, everyone's eyes were focused on Chen Tian, waiting for Chen Tian to give a name that suits this ship, that will carry the 10,000 worlds in the future. It will also be a name that resounds through the sea. 10,000 worlds. Chen Tian smiled and said, since we are the 10,000 worlds pirates, it will be called 10,000 worlds. In the future, it will also be a partner with us in the fight. Kingsu. After the last low shout came out, Kingsu instantly stepped on the ground and jumped onto the ship, then directly hung a brand new flag on the top with both hands. On it was a logo of the 10,000 worlds pirates, a huge 10,000 worlds. However, at the moment, when the flag was hung, Kingsu frowned and her eyes focused. She immediately said, Captain, it's time for us to set sail. And this time, someone has come to welcome us. Hearing this, all the members of the 1G pirates jumped onto the ship and looked ahead. 10 top warships were heading towards them. The scene was extremely spectacular. Even the people of the Seven Water City ran out with binoculars to watch the grand occasion. The other pirates who were originally in the Seven Water City all hid. They didn't dare to face such a huge navy. The 3 warships in the front are actually the 3 admirals. What's going on? Are all the members of the Navy headquarters dispatched? Oh my god, they are not here to arrest me. My bounty was just increased not long ago. Captain, don't be sick. How can your bounty of 71 million baileys alarm the admiral? Whispers and shouts of surprise were heard in the Seven Water City, and Chen Tian and others also had different expressions. Chen Tian looked at the approaching navy ships with excitement. Belemia's eyes also flashed with fighting spirit. Yui tightly grasped her kitchen knife, although she didn't really want to fight, but she was ready for it. Robin remained calm. Nami and Nakiko both looked solemn. Chapter 193 Might Guy's debut. What a big battle. It looks like we can only fight our way out today. Chen Tian took a deep breath, his eyes flashing with a faint cold light, and the long sword was unsheathed. A cold light flashed across the blade. The other side has dispatched 3 generals. If they are not careful, then they will not be able to go to the new world today, and they will probably be buried here. Set sail. Don't stay here to cause trouble for the 7 waters and Master Tom. Besides, only Robin among us is a devil fruit user, and the sea is more suitable for us to fight. With this thought, Chen Tian directly gave the order. As soon as he finished speaking, the ship of 10,000 worlds sailed directly towards the 10 naval warships. They had no room to retreat. Here, they could only fight them head on. The ship of 10,000 worlds set sail, and the distance between it and the naval warships on the opposite side was getting closer and closer. Both sides were waiting for the best time to attack. It is not easy to fight on the sea. If it is to deal with some ordinary pirates, it only needs Kizaru's Yasakani no Magatama or Akanu's meteor volcano to solve it. But it is not possible to deal with Chen Tian and others, because the power of that kind of large-scale attack will be slightly weaker, and with the strength of the 10,000 worlds, it is enough to block those attacks. It's about this distance, right? 10 warships can't be destroyed because of the battle. At this time, Aokiji observed the distance between his side and the ship of the 10,000 worlds, and then directly stretched out his hand to the sea, and a beam of ice shot out quickly, and at the same time he uttered a low cry, "Ice Age!" In an instant, the surrounding sea area turned into frozen land. To defeat the pirate group on the ship, unless the battle is completely on the opponent's ship, otherwise the navy will definitely suffer losses due to the destruction of the ship. Therefore, Aokiji chose to freeze the sea directly, so that there would be a land suitable for fighting, and secondly, the entire sea area was frozen, and the opponent had nowhere to escape. Hey, Captain, the other side has already arranged the battlefield. In that case, let's not be polite, right? Belma could no longer suppress her desire to fight. Wasn't it for this moment that she had been training for so long? Even though she was a woman, she loved fighting. Wait, those vice admirals are your opponents. The 3 admirals are for us new crew members to practice with. Chen Tian grabbed Belma and said calmly, without any tension, and even wanted to laugh. Brother Minato, Sister Kushina, Kakashi, Kei. These 3 people are left to you. No problem, leave it to us. After Chen Tian finished speaking, the voices of Minato and others suddenly appeared in front of them. With a roar, Kei rushed towards Aokiji. Seeing that Kei had already rushed out, Kakashi sighed helplessly and followed him. Chen Tian also shook his head helplessly, and then immediately said, "Brother Minato, you deal with the yellow monkey, he is very fast. Sister Kushina, the red magma monster is left to you. If not, let the nine-tail bite him. As for the other navy soldiers and vice admirals, leave it to us to deal with them." As soon as the voice fell, Chen Tian carried the long sword on his shoulder, then jumped off the ship of the 10,000 worlds, and walked forward. At this time, King Su, Robin Fang and others smiled at each other, and followed him directly. The scene at this moment, except that there were fewer people, was really like a black society brawl. Looking at the shuriken that was coming straight at him, Aokiji did not hesitate to attack. The terrifying aura exuded by the green-skinned watermelon-headed boy who rushed over was not something that the Navy Rear Admiral behind him and ordinary Navy soldiers could match. Ice, 2 thorn spears. After the 2 ice spears were able to take shape, they were immediately shot at Kei, who was flying over. However, facing this kind of probing attack, Kei didn't even plan to dodge. Chakra was attached to his body, and the 2 thorn spears couldn't break his defense at all. As for the restraint caused by the freezing, Kei didn't care at all. With the ability of the 8 gates, these ice cubes would not have any effect on him at all. Even if Admiral Aokiji wanted to defeat Kei, who opened the 8 gates, he had to go all out. In the final analysis, it was Chen Tian who didn't allow Kei to open the 8th gate, and Aokiji was really no match. The 6th gate of the 8 gates, Jingman, open. In an instant, Kei's eyes became more crazy, and his movements became faster, and his fists swept towards Aokiji one after another. And the attack was completely unsystematic, because Kei fought based on his own instincts. The Bankei pirates. It seems that apart from the people who caused trouble on Shampoo Land before, the others are not simple either. Aokiji condensed an ice blade in his hand at this time, while resisting and dodging the sweeping chains. He carefully looked for Kei's flaws. But this kind of guy who fights on instinct can be said to have flaws everywhere, or it can be said that there are no flaws at all, because as long as you intend to attack the flaws he exposes, he can react in an instant. Shave. Freeze time capsule. At the moment Aokiji dodged a chain, He used the Navy 6 styles to appear behind K, and at the same time, released the cold air quickly, heading straight for K. Even the form of Vice Admiral Soro of the Navy headquarters would be instantly frozen by this move. K just turned around, and the whole person was covered by the cold air, and then the whole person quickly turned into an ice sculpture standing in place. It's worthy of being Admiral Aokiji. The Navy standing on the rear warships saw the enemy frozen into an ice sculpture, and many of them cheered. But Aokiji's face remained serious. The frozen time capsule was his specialty and its power was not weak, but he still didn't think that the crazy guy in front of him would be killed so easily. Besides, the white-haired guy who had been watching from the edge also made a move. Take sword technique. Bang. Suddenly, a blade light split the ice in an instant, and then in less than a blink of an eye, it went straight through Aokiji's lower abdomen, and stabbed fiercely into the frozen sea behind him. Sure enough, it won't end so easily. Looking at Kei, who was released by Kakashi, Aokiji said helplessly. Although his tone was lazy, there was no slackness in his eyes. He had been alert to Kakashi, so when the blade light passed through his lower abdomen, he turned into an element in advance to avoid the attack. Ha 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 ha. You are really amazing, but it's a pity that you are still careless. Kei laughed happily at this moment. Then, a terrifying chakra suddenly rose up and kicked Aokiji. The moment the chakra rose, Aokiji realized something was wrong, and he immediately pulled back. But at the moment he backed away, he felt his body stagnate, as if something special was restraining him, making his movements much slower. Chapter 194, Ignorant Weasel. When he looked down, he found that there was a translucent wind chain binding him tightly on his body. This chain had no real feeling, but his movements did become slower. And this chain was the ninjutsu that Kakashi used, which could be controlled for a short time. Once controlled by the wind chain, the speed would be much slower and the movement would be more laborious. Although Aokiji was a general and a user of the natural fruit ability, he was not immune to or able to resist ninjutsu. At this moment, Kei took a step back slightly, and then his entire figure disappeared directly, as if he had never existed here. Neither Aokiji nor the Navy on the ship could detect Kei's presence. However, they could all feel the terrifying aura that permeated the surroundings, which was the chakra released by Kei. Of course, Kei did not disappear, but his speed was too fast for these people to detect. Under desperation, Aokiji could only use his observation haki. These Navy soldiers looked around nervously, fearing that Kei would suddenly appear. However, it was obvious that these Navy soldiers thought too much. At this moment, Kei only had Aokiji in his eyes, the opponent who could make him enjoy the pleasure of fighting. The next moment, the wind chain flew out from a strange corner, but Aokiji seemed to know it in advance, and dodged Kakashi's attack by turning sideways. Then, Aokiji turned his eyes to an empty direction. He stared at that place and slowly said, "It seems that your speed is not unsolvable. The observation haki is enough to find your location." As for Kakashi, in Aokiji's eyes, he was not as dangerous as Kei, so he could be put aside for the time being. As soon as the voice fell, Aokiji held the ice blade and rushed out like lightning, heading straight for Kei. The fight between the two officially began at this moment. "Is it you? How dare you bully my little brother?" Kushina walked step by step in front of Akainu, with a sneer on her face, and her red hair began to fly. Kei and Kakashi faced Aokiji, Kushina faced Akainu, and the fastest Minato faced Kizaru. The four pillars of Konoha faced the three admirals of the Navy respectively, but it must be said that the strength of the three of them is slightly stronger than the admirals. They may not be able to defeat them in a short fight, but they will have some advantages. But without the blessing of armament haki, they can't kill these three natural types at all. It is precisely because of this that Chen Tian personally coordinated to avoid any accidents. His armament haki is not weak, and he can completely defeat an admiral. The coordination can take care of everyone. It just happens to give them a chance to get familiar with the battle. After all, the two worlds are different. You don't seem to care about your companions at all, just resting your eyes here. At this time, a man wearing a lavender striped shirt, carrying a long sword, and wearing a middle coat walked to a position about 10 meters in front of Chen Tian, and said with a serious face, The Vice Admiral Mole of the Navy headquarters. This guy, even among the Vice Admirals of the Navy headquarters, is definitely a strong one. It is even possible that he is the Vice Admiral of the headquarters, second only to Teotu and Chatten, the two candidate admirals. Hearing the voice, Chen Tian slowly opened his eyes, glanced at Mole, and said calmly, "You don't have the ability to hurt them." Chen Tian's tone was very calm, but anyone could hear that he was full of confidence. "Humph, they are just pirates. I advise you to surrender. Although your guilt is too great, and you will not be exempted from death anyway, at least you can die more easily." At this time, Mole had one hand on the handle of his knife. He stared at Chen Tian with his eyes, alert to the other party's actions. Before the celestial dragon of shampoo was killed, Chen Tian was a person with a bounty of more than 1 billion baileys. Mole didn't believe that he only had a little bounty. This guy's definitely very powerful. Poor weasel, no one has told him the true strength of Chen Tian until now. Chen Tian also stretched out his hand to hold the hilt of the knife. His eyes locked on Mole, and said in a cold voice, "I advise you to get rid of those unrealistic ideas in your mind as soon as possible. No one here will surrender, and you will definitely not be able to stop us from moving forward today." That's a pity. As soon as the voice fell, Mole directly used the shaving and rushed to Chen Tian in an instant, and the long knife had already been unsheathed. The sharp blade did not stop at all and slashed towards Chen Tian in an instant. In almost less than a blink of an eye, the knife flashed, and only a sound of metal intersecting was heard. Chen Tian held the knife with one hand and directly blocked the slash of Mole. In the Wanji pirates, there are a total of 2 people who can be called great swordsmen, one of whom is Chen Tian, and the other is Kakashi. Even without using his own physical skills, Chen Tian also has a strength far beyond the Vice Admiral of the Navy headquarters. After blocking the attack of the Mole with a knife in one hand, Chen Tian's eyes turned cold instantly. He was a decisive killer. Since the opponent had already attacked, he would not hold back. As his body moved, the power in his hand continued to increase. A powerful demonic force burst out at this moment, and he shouted, "Die." Then, Chen Tian swung the long knife in his hand and slashed from right to left towards Yansu's left shoulder. However, the Mole was also a great swordsman. He reacted almost instantly, holding the knife with both hands and slashing towards the right, trying to block Chen Tian's attack. Sure. In a flash, the sound of the long knife slashing was heard, and blood spurted out. The Mole quickly retreated and immediately distanced himself from Chen Tian. His face suddenly became much more solemn. Just now, Chen Tian slashed his left arm with the knife, and now his left arm was injured. Just from this moment, he knew that Chen Tian's strength was unfathomable. "I'll take your life next." Holding the long sword, Chen Tian had a calm expression, completely devoid of emotion. "Stop joking. Do you think the Vice Admiral of the Marine headquarters is just a name for nothing? Although I don't know how strong you are, I just need to try my best to deal with it." As he said that, the Mole held the sword with both hands, then slowly closed his eyes, concentrating on using his observation haki to sense the opponent's actions. Observation haki, armament haki, the 6 styles of the Navy, swordsmanship. As long as you can use it all. Chapter 195 Swordsman's Instinct. Chen Tian simply walked and swung his sword casually, like the god of death, harvesting the lives of all the Navy present. Except for those above the rank of Vice Admiral in the headquarters, no one else could escape his sword. And those admirals were entangled by Minato and others. Minato and others were all at the level of admirals. When they took action, those admirals were also unable to split their forces. The remaining Vice Admirals were also resisted by Belmir and others, unable to stop Chen Tian. Don't be afraid, he must be nearby. Pay attention to the position where he attacks, and then shoot with sea-stun bullets immediately. A man in a Navy Rear Admiral's coat shouted loudly at this moment. He also had observation haki, but relying on his observation haki, he couldn't find Chen Tian's location at all. He just knew that the other party was here, that's all. Chen Tian's speed was too fast, and they couldn't react at all. Being afraid of me is the emotion you should have. Humans are afraid of the strong. There is nothing to be ashamed of. While speaking, another 7 Navy soldiers fell in a pool of blood. The fall of these people deepened the fear in the hearts of other Navy soldiers. just as Chen Tian walked behind the rear admiral, raised his long sword, and prepared to harvest his life. "Get out of the way." A light shout suddenly sounded, and the sword energy that cut through the glacier under his feet swept over crazily. Seeing this scene, the rear admiral immediately used his shaving to dodge to the side. At the same time, Chen Tian's figure was finally revealed to everyone's vision. He slashed forward with the long sword in his hand, and the ink-colored armed color burst out instantly, colliding with the sword energy that was galloping. The collision of the two powerful forces directly threw all the surrounding Navy soldiers away. Then, a long-legged beauty wearing a Navy Vice Admiral coat, a spider tattoo, and peach-colored clothes appeared in front of Chen Tian. In her hand, she held the famous sword, Kinbira. "Vice Admiral of the Navy Headquarters, Teo 2, even you, the candidate for Admiral, are here. It seems that the Navy intends to use us to establish its prestige." Chen Tian raised his head and looked at the other party and said in a deep voice, "Although Momotaji-Jan is only a Vice Admiral, her code name follows the standards of an Admiral, and she also possesses strength that exceeds that of an ordinary Vice Admiral of the Headquarters. You acted recklessly in the Sabaody archipelago and even took the lives of the celestial dragons. Such behavior has caused us a lot of trouble. There are so many pirates on the sea that need to be dealt with, and we don't have time to waste on you." Momotaji raised the Kinbira in her hand. The blade pointed directly at Chen Tian, and a cold voice came from her mouth. "Surrender, demonic Chen Tian. Your speed is useless in front of me. My observation haki can clearly sense your existence." As a great swordsman, Momotaji also has extremely high attainments in armament haki and observation haki. In the entire sea, she can probably be called the top female great swordsman. Judging from the two-color haki alone, she will never be inferior to any admiral of the Navy, and may even be better. Give up. Would the candidate for admiral be so naive? Compared with the average Navy commander, you do have stronger strength, but to say that my speed is useless is too arrogant. As soon as the voice fell, Chen Tian's momentum changed instantly. At this moment, he was like a terrifying beast that had just awakened, exuding a terrifying aura. The fact that your observation haki can keep up with Chen Tian's speed does not mean that you can beat Chen Tian. Speed is only one of Chen Tian's abilities, but not all of them. If Chen Tian did not want to massacre the Navy here, he would have exploded long ago. Because of old man Garp, Chen Tian has a little bit of good feelings for the Navy. And these admirals are just for Minato and others to practice, so they made such a choice. As if sensing something wrong, Toyota said nothing, and directly slashed out an amazing sword energy with a knife. In a flash, he came in front of Chen Tian, and wanted to split him in two. Heh. With a chuckle, Chen Tian's speed increased again, and he left the place in an instant, and avoided the sword energy. At his current speed, he needs a strong enough observation haki to keep up. This is still him. If it were Minato, he would have no choice but to master the observation haki that can predict the future like the Big Mom Pirates 4 sweet generals. Kikukuri. Isn't it the limit yet? Can it be faster? I feel like my observation haki can't keep up. Momosaki's face suddenly became solemn. Before this operation, they all read the relevant information about the Bankei pirates, including the powerful strength that Chen Tian displayed when he was in Shampoo. Even the admirals Kizaru and Akainu had to use super large scale attacks to force the opponent out. Otherwise, with Chen Tian's strength, it would be difficult for them to react. As a great swordsman, Momosaki has a range attack, but her attack is much worse than the super large range of Kizaru's Yasakani no Magatama and Akainu's Meteor Volcano. How about this speed? Do you still think it has no effect? Chen Tian walked towards Tao step by step. His fighting seemed very elegant to others, without so many fancy techniques, as if he was doing a very simple thing. It was as simple as getting close to the opponent, and then using the blade in his hand to take the opponent's life. The next moment, Chen Tian stood directly in front of Tao, and then chopped down with a long knife in his hand. What was strange was that Tao did not dodge at this moment, just stood there, just tightened the handle of the knife. Bang! Suddenly, a sound of metal and iron intersecting sounded. At the moment, when Chen Tian chopped down with the knife, Tao turned around and swung the Jinbi Luo in her hand to attack directly to the right rear about 30 degrees. At this time, the afterimage of Chen Tian, who had originally chopped in front of her, slowly dissipated and replaced by Chen Tian, who was slashing with a knife behind her right. Swordsman's instinct. A light flashed in Chen Tian's eyes. He did not expect Tao Tu to have such an instinctive reaction. It was impossible to crack his speed, which meant that Tao Tu used her many years of combat experience and the nature of her body to react the moment she sensed danger. At this moment, Tao Tu took a step forward, her whole body approached Chen Tian, and then her other hand quickly reached deep and grabbed Chen Tian's wrist, with a cold light flashing in her eyes, and she said confidently, "This time, I caught you." Chapter 196 The Charm of the 10,000 Worlds. Where did these guys come from? They were all unknown except Chen Tian, and they were only in the first half of the pirate group. How could they have so many high-end combat forces? Demetia couldn't help but curse in a low voice at this time. He originally thought that even with the pressure from the celestial dragons, it was a bit too much to send out so many combat forces. But now after fighting with Kikingsu, he knew that it was a wise choice for Marshal Sengoku to send out such combat forces. Not to mention the monsters who were fighting with the admirals. Just the young and beautiful woman in front of him. The terrifying power was already at the level of their vice admirals, and even gave people the feeling that she was a giant vice admiral. And he could also see during the battle that none of his colleagues could be said to have the upper hand now. The one called Nico Robin, the one holding the kitchen knife, and the crazy woman holding the long sword were all extremely strong, a little weird, and almost all of the Navy 6 styles and 2-color haki were mastered. He even doubted whether the Bankei pirates had any way to suddenly improve people's strength. Otherwise, how could these people be so powerful when they are so young? For example, the 3 admirals of the Navy are powerful, but they are all over 50 years old. But what about these people from the Bankei pirates? It must be said that Demetia had a good idea. The gravity space of the morning sky is a plug-in to enhance strength, and the effect is very good. Robin and others are so powerful, 80% of which is due to the gravity space. Pay attention when fighting. Don't be distracted. Suddenly, Kingsu's hair had all spread out, and the terrifying power was surging wildly at this moment. The next moment, his fist was directly smashed towards Demetia. Boom. The punch fell, like a meteorite falling to the ground, bursting out a deafening figure. Even the ice surface of more than 10 meters in radius was shattered by this punch. Under the full explosion, its power is definitely not weaker than those giants, and it may even be stronger. Demetia, who was hit by this punch head-on, spurted out a mouthful of blood and flew backwards. He was almost dozens of meters away before he stabilized his body and then looked at Kingsu with a serious face. If he hadn't used the iron block to defend himself in time against the terrifying force just now, he would have fallen down. But even with the iron block, he felt that one of his ribs was broken, but a broken rib was just a minor injury for him and would not affect the battle much. It was not so easy to defeat this guy with terrifying brute force in front of him. Even when he was not injured, he felt that he and Kingsu were about evenly matched. These guys in the Bankei pirates are probably about the same as the captains of the 4 Emperors pirates, that is, the Great Whirlpool Spider and the Ice Witch under Whitebird. Those are the great pirates with great reputation in the New World, and if it weren't for the shampoo incident, the Navy headquarters would not have known that there was such a terrifying pirate group in the first half of the Grand Line. However, I'm responsible for justice. How could I be defeated by a pirate like you? After a roar, Demetia turned into a residual image and went towards Kingsu. As a vice admiral of the Navy headquarters, how could he lose to these damn pirates? Behind him, there was a group of Navy soldiers watching, looking at the vice admiral they admired on weekdays. Well, it's an admirable belief, but it's not a wise choice to be an enemy of our Wanji pirates. Kingsu was like a Valkyrie at this moment, with a cold face, and walked directly towards Demetia. The other party was carrying the justice of the Navy, so how could she not be carrying the honor of the Wanji pirates and Chen Tian? On the pirate ship not far behind her, the Wanji flag fluttering, was their Wanji pirates, and it was also Chen Tian's belief. So, she also had a reason not to fail. On another battlefield, Tao Tu was alert to the surroundings, because she didn't know when Chen Tian would suddenly attack. From the moment she grabbed Chen Tian's wrist and fought with him in close combat for more than a dozen rounds, a special white flame suddenly appeared, forcing her to let go. Just letting go for a moment, Chen Tian once again entered a state of high-speed movement. So she had to stay highly focused at all times. Only in this way could she react the moment the opponent attacked. While being alert, Toyota couldn't help cursing in her heart, and of course she was cursing Chen Tian. Such a fast speed is really disgusting, and what's more disgusting is that this guy is very powerful, but he keeps playing tricks on her. But at this time, Chen Tian was not in a hurry to attack. His eyes were on several other battlefields, watching the battles between the three admirals and Minato, Kushina, and Kei and Kakashi, looking at Kingsu, Robin, Yui, and the battles of the warriors under his command were very intense at the moment, and only he was relatively relaxed. He was because of his own strength. Although Toyota was very strong, he could not compete with him, and at the same time he did not have a super large range of attacks, so he had no way to deal with Chen Tian. Minato and the other four were completely restrained by natural ability users, because they did not have armed color domineering. No matter how they attacked, the opponent's elemental words would solve the problem. What? You don't plan to attack? If you plan to continue the stalemate, it would be better to surrender. Although your companions are very powerful, they are not inferior to the generals. Toyota looked at Chen Tian, who did not move, and said coldly, but you should know that it is only temporary. After a while, they will not be the opponent of the generals. Defeat is inevitable. Even now, your three companions can only defend. Except for being arrested and then executed, you will not have any other ending. Chen Tian turned his head and looked back at Toyota. He smiled and said, as far as the current situation is concerned, we are indeed at a disadvantage, but the defeat you mentioned is impossible. Until now, have you seen any fear in the eyes of any of us? Hearing this, Toyota was suddenly startled, and some uneasiness emerged in her heart. Then she rushed out quickly and swung her knife to slash at Chen Tian. Although she didn't know what Chen Tian meant, as long as she stopped him, it would be fine. Unfortunately, his slashing could not stop Chen Tian from doing anything, because she was still attacking the flower in the mirror and the moon in the water. She could not hit Chen Tian's body at all, and could only beat up the afterimage left by Chen Tian. At this moment, a group of purple flares suddenly flew from the direction of the ship of the 10,000 worlds. Chen Tian also said slowly, because they believe that no matter what injuries they suffer, nothing will happen. With me here, the 10,000 worlds pirates will not have any casualties. Illusion, Nirvana spirit relinquishing technique. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 197, Red and White Flames. In an instant, countless white feathers fell down and merged into the bodies of the navy, thus disappearing without a trace. The next moment, a woman with red pupils jumped down from the ship of the 10,000 worlds in the distance. The woman looked at Chen Tian with a beautiful smile and walked over step by step. When he saw this woman, Chen Tian suddenly smiled, and the aura on his body burst out. Seeing Chen Tian's change, Tatu also stayed where she was, but she was still alert. Although Chen Tian looked smiling at the moment, she would not forget that the guy in front of her was a big pirate with a bounty of over 1.5 billion. Suddenly, Chen Tian raised the long sword in his hand, and the white light instantly spread in all directions. The three admirals who were originally suppressing Minato and others had to retreat temporarily after the arrival of this light. They didn't care about the sword energy, but they couldn't ignore the cold spirit bone fire and armed color domineering above. With the help of Chen Tian, everyone breathed a sigh of relief and readjusted their state. Feeling the change in his opponent, Akanu's face suddenly changed, and he couldn't help shouting, "Momoji, stop that guy. If he continues to interfere, the battle will become endless." Hearing Akanu shout, Momoji also reacted immediately. She never thought that Chen Tian would attack the three admirals and several vice admirals at the same time. It's too late to stop it now, because I plan to end this battle. Continuing to entangle with you here will only cause more trouble. While speaking, Chen Tian's hands were already wrapped in white flames, and a powerful aura rushed violently to the surroundings. "Han, you step back." At this time, Chen Tian shouted, although the voice was not loud, but it was very clear to Zahi Hang's ears. "Okay, I'll wait for you." Hearing the shout, Hang immediately threw away the illusion in her hand and immediately rushed towards the ship of all worlds. For her, nothing is more important than Chen Tian. After seeing Hang Yuan leave the battlefield, Chen Tian wrapped himself in a white cape, and at the same time, a flame pattern appeared on his back, and extremely cold ice and snow were attached to his long sword. Cold Spirit Bone Fire. The ability has appeared again. What kind of fruit ability does this guy have? Toyota felt extremely tricky at this time. Chen Tian's powerful flame made her wonder whether the guy in front of her really ate two fruits. It was obviously a flame, but it was colder than Aokige's ice. It was unheard of. At the moment, when Toyota was dazed, Chen Tian had already appeared directly behind her, and the long sword in his hand was gently dancing, and the extremely cold ice and snow froze her legs. Then, the first person to be eliminated is. As he said, Chen Tian set his sights on Akainu, and then walked over. The extreme coldness brought to him by the cold spirit bone fire and Akainu's lava can be said to be a mutually restraining force. Just like Aokiji and Akainu, there is actually no difference in the strength of their fruit abilities. It just depends on who is stronger. Don't even think about it. When Toyota attached the armament haki to her legs and tried to shake off the ice and snow to stop Chen Tian, countless arms swept over and bound Toyota's limbs. The mature woman with short hair stood in front of her, crossed her hands, looked at Toyota with a smile, and said softly, "I can't let you disturb brother Chen Tian." Toyota wanted to use brute force to break free from the restraints of these arms, but suddenly found that these seemingly thin arms were very tough and difficult to tear apart. You know, Robin's arms are difficult to cut even with swords, and it is not easy to break free from her restraints by brute force alone. This is also one of the effects of Chen Tian helping Robin train. "Hey, little Chen Tian, although I knew you were going to intervene a long time ago, what do you mean by coming to me first? Don't you believe that your sister can get rid of this red dog?" Seeing Chen Tian approaching her, Kushina's face instantly showed an unhappy look. She is the Ninetails Jinchuriki, one of the strongest women in Konoha village. Even if she needs help, she shouldn't start with her. At least she should start with those two brats Kakashi and my guy, right? This is too embarrassing. Moreover, it's just a fight with Akainu. Does Kushina need help from others? Sister Kushina, how can I bear to let you do it, so I'll help you as soon as possible. Chen Tian said with a serious face without any embarrassment. Moreover, if they delay here for a long time, they may be caught by the navy in one fell swoop, and none of them can escape. So even if Kushina has a little temper, there is no way to let her continue playing. He will not be arrogant and think that he is invincible in the world. The strength of the three admirals of the navy is still very strong. Just as Toyota said, if they continue to fight, it is only a matter of time before Minato and others lose. The chakra of Minato and others is not as abundant as the physical strength of Akainu and others. If they continue to consume it, they will definitely lose. Chakra is okay, the most important thing is that the physical strength of both sides cannot be compared. Therefore, he had to intervene in Kushina's battle, and the reason why he chose to deal with Akainu first was that the ice and snow ability brought by his cold spirit bone fire was targeted at Akainu to some extent. Secondly, it was because Kushina was indeed the one with the most chakra at this stage. It was also because Kushina's chakra was sufficient, and with Chen Tian, the two of them could work together to get rid of Akainu in the shortest time. As long as one of the three admirals was eliminated, they could support the other two, and things would become very simple. His strength was stronger than the three admirals, but he was not invincible. When watching the war at the top, Whitebird beat Akainu in various ways, and the opponent was still alive. You can see how strong the vitality of these people is. You are just a pirate. Do you think you can defeat me with one more person? Bastard, don't underestimate the Admiral of the Navy. Dark Dog. At this time, Akainu let out an angry roar, and at the same time his arm turned into magma, and blasted directly towards Chen Tian. It was really shameful to be chosen by Chen Tian first. With all the new and old hatreds added together, Akainu went berserk. When the lava fist approached, the long sword in Chen Tian's hand moved, and countless white flames flew around his body. Chapter 198 Little Thief Cat Nami. The knife flashed, and the extreme coldness was spreading wantonly at this moment. The long sword fell from thin air, and the magma less than 2 meters away from Chen Tian was frozen in midair in an instant, and the extremely cold ice and snow continued to spread forward along the magma. Ice? Fire? Feeling the extremely cold power burst out from Chen Tian, Akanu's face suddenly changed, and a trace of surprise flashed in his eyes. This ability reminded him of his colleague. However, he knew very well that there would not be two identical devil fruits in the world, and the power displayed by Chen Tian was completely different from that of Aokiji. The most important thing was that the guy had a white flame in his hand. But he didn't expect that the guy in front of him actually had an ability similar to Aokiji. And this type of ability is exactly what Akanu hates the most. It's not that this ability is powerful or something, but because Akanu simply hates these guys who play with ice. Although Chen Tian's is also a flame, it is a flame that emits cold air. Is there any difference from ice? Damned pirate, die. Dog gnawing red lotus. Akanu did not hesitate to change his lava-like arm into the shape of a dog's head, and then rushed straight to Chen Tian. He hated pirates, and now Chen Tian used the ability he hated. The previous chase, the humiliation in the Sabayodi archipelago, and so on. With all these added up, he even had no time to pay attention to Kushina, and he had to kill Chen Tian on the spot first. Such a direct attack, do you think it can threaten me? Dog gnawing red lotus passed through Chen Tian's body in an instant, and then Chen Tian turned into a residual image and disappeared on the spot. But his voice echoed here. It's very powerful, even I can't take it easily, but it's useless if you can't hit it. Chen Tian's speed is entirely because his body is too strong. Therefore, no matter what the situation is, unless it is a sneak attack, if you want to deal with Chen Tian, the chief must break his speed. Otherwise, no matter how powerful the attack is, it will be meaningless. At this time, Kushina's eyes were already flashing with cold light. The chakra in his hand gathered frantically, and then he pushed hard towards the position where Akanu was. A huge tailed beast ball condensed and rushed directly towards Akanu. At the same time, Chen Tian also jumped up and revealed his figure in the air. He held the long sword tightly with both hands, and the extreme cold power on the blade continued to condense, and then cut it down with one sword. The extreme cold power made his sword energy become extremely cold, and then he went straight to Akanu. Even the air around him became extremely cold under this extreme cold. Boom. A huge sound burst out, and the sword energy in the tailed beast ball fell on Akanu's body almost at the same time. The terrifying power of the tailed beast ball directly shattered the ice surface there. Then the moment the sword energy fell, the extreme cold power on it once again turned the sea surface into ice. If it was replaced by a vice admiral of the Navy headquarters, under this intensity of attack, Chen Tian would not even look at it. Even if the opponent did not die, he would definitely not have any combat power left. But Akanu is different. He can withstand the full force of the furious Whitebird and continue to chase Luffy despite his injuries. It can be said that, as long as he has a breath, he will never fall. This guy's will is countless times stronger than the other two admirals of the Navy, Aokiji and Kizaru. Perhaps it is because he believes in absolute justice that he has such a strong will. Seeing Akanu standing alone, and his momentum has not weakened at all, Kushina turned her head and looked at Chen Tian and said slowly, "Little Chen Tian, that's why I said you should help them first. This Akanu is so tenacious that, even if the two of us join forces, there is no way to get rid of him in a short time. Sister Kushina, none of the three admirals of the Navy can be easily solved. We must hurry up to kill this guy, otherwise we will be trapped here." Chen Tian's face was solemn at this moment, and at the same time, the majestic armed color domineering was also condensed on the long sword. "You will never be able to kill me in this life." Akanu rushed directly to Kushina with a flash, and the powerful force gathered on his right arm. The next moment, he punched out directly. Although he was angry, he was not irrational. He had already suffered a loss when he attacked Chen Tian just now, so he would not suffer a loss again. He had no good way to deal with Chen Tian's speed for the time being. Even if he used the meteor volcano, such a large-scale attack might not be able to achieve the desired effect. Therefore, He planned to get rid of Kushina first. Without this help, Chenshin and his 1G pirates would not have any chance of winning. Because at this moment, Kakashi and Kei were also at a disadvantage. Even though Chenshin had helped everyone just now, they were still the weaker party in front of the General Aokiji. Kei's 8 gates of ninjutsu has a time limit and cannot be used all the time. Judging from the current situation, it won't take long for Aokiji to defeat Kakashi and Kei, and then the 1G pirates will have no ability to resist. Although Robin and the others also have impressive strength, they are nothing in front of the Admiral. Nine-tailed beast transformation. Just as Akanu's fist fell towards him, Kushina suddenly released an extremely powerful force. The red chakra instantly permeated his whole body, turning him directly into a red fox more than 10 meters tall, and then swung his fists to fight Akanu directly. The lava and the nine-tailed chakra collided, and the extraordinary temperature directly melted a lot of the surrounding ice. HMPH. With a muffled groan, Kushina retreated more than 10 meters away, and the nine-tailed chakra attached to her body slowly faded. Her chest kept rising and falling at this moment, and her panting was obviously much more rapid than before. My lava is a power that can even burn out flames. No matter what is so special about you, it is doomed in essence that you are definitely not my opponent. Akanu looked at Kushina, who was repelled by him, and a trace of arrogance appeared in his eyes. His lava fruit is a higher level fruit of the flame type devil fruit. Although Kushina's red skin is a bit strange, in Akanu's eyes, it is just like other things, and cannot compete with him at all. As long as it encounters his magma, everything will be burned to ashes. Seeing this scene, Chenshin was ready to attack Akanu directly, but at the moment he took a step, Nami's voice suddenly came from behind him. Brother Chenshin, I found a good thing. Turning around, Chenshin saw Nami standing behind him with the devil fruit in her hands. Oh my god. Where did this devil fruit come from? We are fighting so fiercely, and you, a little girl, actually found a devil fruit secretly? But is now the time to do this? Nami. Chapter 199 Jiraiya. Seeing the devil fruit that Nami brought over, Akanu's face was also very wonderful. Of course, they couldn't bring devil fruits with them when they sailed. The devil fruit placed in the warship was the spoils of several pirate groups they defeated on the way to the Seven Water capital. Who knows that the short little girl, who was estimated to be less than 10 years old, could actually steal the devil fruit. Although he didn't know what the devil fruit was for, Chenshin, according to intelligence, the 1G pirates had been collecting devil fruits. At this time, Chenshin directly reached out and grabbed the devil fruit in his hand, and then said to himself, "System, absorb this devil fruit immediately." Then, the devil fruit in his hand began to become illusory and soon disappeared. Now it's in the battle, holding a devil fruit is too much of a hindrance. It's better to let the system absorb it directly. And after the absorption system absorbs the devil fruit, it has unexpected abilities. That is to summon a character in the Naruto world. This ability appears after the system absorbs 30 devil fruits. For every additional one absorbed, it can summon a person. Minato, Kushina, my guy, Kakashi and others were all like this. But seeing Chenshin's actions, Akanu roared, "Don't even think about succeeding, Meteor Volcano." He didn't care whether there were still Navy soldiers around at this moment, and he directly blasted out countless magma fists, falling like meteorites. And it was extremely dense, and it was difficult for anyone to avoid such an attack. However, such an attack, in addition to attacking Chenshin, would also take the lives of many Navy soldiers around. But in Akanu's eyes, as long as they could deal with pirates, then the sacrifice of these Navy soldiers would be worth it. Looking at the lava fists falling from the sky, Chenshin's mouth corners also revealed a faint smile. He stood there without any intention of dodging, and even the extremely fast speed was useless. Suddenly, the sea boiled, and countless sea water broke through the ice at this moment, and rushed into the sky. A huge barrier was directly formed to block all the magma fists, and none of them really fell on the ice. TSK, I didn't expect this old pervert to come. Now it's interesting. In this environment, this guy is basically invincible. Kushina lost the idea of continuing to fight at this moment, because with such a new guy, the Navy's strength on the sea is not enough. At this moment, standing next to Chenshin, a majestic man with white hair looks a bit majestic. But no one would underestimate him. because the chakra emanating from him is extremely powerful. He is a lecherous sage Jiraiya in the world of Naruto. Chen boy, these guys in uniforms are all enemies, right? Jiraiya's low voice came out slowly, his face remained calm, and these enemies in front of him were not in his eyes at all. If it was on normal land, there might be some trouble in the fight, but at this moment on the sea, he was not afraid of anyone. Even if he was more powerful than him, it would be difficult to match him here. Who made him a ninjutsu ninja, and he was also very good at water escape. They are enemies, let's teach them a lesson, and then we plan to leave. There is no point in continuing to fight here. Chen Tian was completely relieved at this time. Jiraiya's appearance was something he didn't expect. In fact, what he thought at the beginning was that a stronger person would be enough, but he didn't expect that this almost invincible person would appear. Especially in the world of pirates, Jiraiya can be said to be the master of the sea and the nemesis of all devil fruit users. No matter how strong you are in using devil fruits, you will feel uncomfortable if you are washed by sea water. I know, Chen Tian, you guys go back to the ship first and leave the rest to me. This sea can be said to be my home ground. Although the opponent also has some strong existences, it is wishful thinking to want to defeat me on the sea. Jiraiya's expression did not change at all, but he just spoke lightly. When he was summoned, the system had already instilled some common sense into him, so he knew his advantages. His words may be a little arrogant, but this is the fact. How powerful is Jiraiya standing on the sea? Even Chen Tian himself couldn't say for sure. Anyway, an admiral like Akainu was unlikely to be his opponent. In fact, Minato and others could do it, but they didn't have the sage mode, and the power of their ninjutsu was too small to threaten the admiral. Brother Minato, sister Kushina, Kakashi. Chen Tian roared directly, and his voice was transmitted to the ears of the people who were fighting. Return to the ship of worlds immediately. It's time for us to leave. At the same time, it's time to let these Navy see Jiraiya's strength. Hearing Chen Tian's voice, Kushina and Minato, as well as Kakashi and others immediately chose to retreat. Although K hesitated for a moment, he still had to obey the orders of his captain. Moreover, although there was no winner, he enjoyed the battle just now enough. How can I let you guys escape? Ake saw that group of people began to retreat, and immediately let out a roar, then punched out, and the hot lava rushed directly. At this moment, Jiraiya gently waved his hands, and then the chakra urged countless seawater to condense into a huge vortex in the air, instantly swallowing up all the lava that Akainu blasted out. This is the head of this immortal. How can I let you take action? If I'm here and let your attack infect other people, I will be embarrassed enough. Jiraiya said indifferently. In his eyes, Akainu's attack was just a joke, and there was nothing powerful about it. The ability to control seawater? Is there a devil fruit that can provide such an ability? It's really so scary. Kizaru gave up chasing the demon sword princess. He stood in the air, looking at Jiraiya with a calm expression, and said solemnly, this time his so scary was not a joke. If the other party really had the ability to control seawater, it would be too terrifying. On this sea, with the power to control seawater, it is hard to imagine what kind of person can defeat him. Ah la la la, it looks like there's another troublesome guy, but how did he appear? Aokiji also felt extremely troubled at this time. Although the seawater had no effect on him, an opponent with this ability, and a pirate at that, would definitely be a huge threat. No need to say more, this sage doesn't want to kill anyone, you should withdraw from the battlefield. As soon as Jiraiya finished speaking, the surrounding seawater began to boil, and a huge tsunami was born under his control. Chapter 200, Powerful Water Escape Technique. Jiraiya, who has already activated the Sage mode, has a ninjutsu that is so powerful that it is terrifying. The tsunami that Jiraiya has raised is no less powerful than the water gods, Aquila Lana, that the 7 water cities have to face from time to time. The terrifying tsunami can almost submerge a city. This is no joke. Looking at the huge tsunami, Aokiji's face became ugly, and he looked so gloomy that it seemed like water was about to drip out. He probably never thought that in this life, under normal circumstances, he would face such a huge tsunami. It was during the war on the top that he didn't know if it would happen again in the future. Whitebird used the power of the tremor fruit to cause an earthquake and a huge tsunami. The next moment, Aokiji jumped up, and the whole person instantly appeared in the air, and then shot out ice beams from the palms of his hands, directly connecting to the huge tsunami, and at the same time he uttered a low cry, "Ice Age." The strong power of extreme cold erupted wildly at this moment, and the huge tsunami turned into ice at a speed visible to the naked eye, and then the cold air was still spreading towards the sea below. Aokiji saw that Jiraiya must have the ability to control the sea water. Although he didn't know how this ability was obtained, if he was allowed to use it, it would definitely be a huge threat. Therefore, Aokiji planned to directly freeze all the deeper sea water, which might be able to stop Jiraiya's special ability to control the sea water. But this is too simple to think about. If this can stop Jiraiya, then he is not worthy of being called a sage. Under the growth of the sage mode, Jiraiya's water escape is not even weaker than the second generation Hokage who can use sea escape. Sage water escape water entanglement. Jiraiya stretched out his other hand and grasped the tsunami that had been turned into an ice sculpture. The blue chakra burst out crazily at this moment, and the sea water also became bluer under the influence of the chakra. The next moment, the tsunami broke through the ice, and the blue sea water was about to pour down. If the tsunami fell, there would be absolutely few Navy soldiers who could survive. Even the 3 admirals might be buried by the sea water. After all, they were people with special abilities, and the sea water had a natural hostility towards them. Aokiji and Kizaru would be better. One of them could fly into the sky, and the other could freeze the sea water, but Akainu would be in trouble. If he was swallowed by the sea water, he would have to wait for rescue. As expected of Jiraiya, just the water escape has such a great power. Of course, it also benefits from the fact that this is the sea. If it were on land, it would not be so powerful. On the ship of worlds, Minato looked at the scene in front of him and couldn't help but speak. Performing water escape on the sea is to chakra saving, which can't be done on land. It must be said that Jiraiya's strength is really strong enough, and he can be said to be extremely threatening in this world. After all, this world is made up of seas and islands, and the only real land is the Red Earth continent. The sea is like his own arm to senior Jiraiya. As long as he has enough chakra, he can control the sea to do whatever he wants. Kakashi calmed down at this time and analyzed rationally. Jiraiya's chakra is extremely powerful. Although it is not infinite, his chakra is completely sufficient in normal battles, and he may even have more. As for the battle in front of us, there is no suspense at all. The admirals of the navy are indeed very strong. If it is not on the sea, Jiraiya is not their opponent. Kushina also said at this time, but there are not so many ice in battle. This is the sea, Jiraiya's home court. It is not impossible to defeat Jiraiya who has activated the sage mode on the sea, but these admirals are still a little bit behind. Hearing this, Chen Tian nodded slightly and said slowly, in fact, there is another reason. Look carefully. Kizaru has been alerting us. Although we have retreated to the ship of the 10,000 worlds, he does not think that we will really stand idly by. This is indeed the case. If Jiraiya is really in danger, Chen Tian and his friends will never stand idly by. Boom. A muffled sound came out at this moment, and the ice layer under the ship of the 10,000 worlds was directly washed away by the sea water. Then the ship of the 10,000 worlds moved with the help of the sea water, and began to sail outside. I can't let you leave like this. Seeing the ship of the 10,000 worlds moving, Kizaru immediately reacted. Light emanated from his hands, and he shouted, Yoshakuni no Magatama. The light balls rained down on the ship of the 10,000 worlds like rain. Seeing such an attack, Kushina frowned, then raised her hands directly. Chakra gathered crazily, and then soared directly into the sky. Nine-tailed beast ball. A monstrous explosion appeared instantly, directly swallowing up all the light balls falling towards the ship of the 10,000 worlds. At this time, Jiraiya swung his hands violently, and the chakra condensed directly into water balls, and began to rush madly towards the surrounding navy soldiers, especially Aokiji and Akainu, who were the focus of attention. Since you don't want to quit, then bear it well. Water escape, great explosion water wave. As soon as the voice fell, the blue tsunami crashed down, and the water balls condensed by chakra began to surge rapidly in the Black Sea water, attacking the navy that was hit by the sea water. Aokiji and Akainu didn't have any good ideas at this time. Aokiji found that it was not easy to freeze the Black Sea water. In this seawater, he could only ensure his own safety. As for Akainu, God knows where he is now. No one can tell which one is him in the seawater. Spread the news here. I hope you can take it as a warning. If you come to provoke us again, being swallowed by the seawater will be your only fate. Jiraiya stood on the dark sea, looked up at Kizaru in the air, and said slowly. After he finished speaking, he jumped and landed on the deck of the ship of worlds, performed water escape, and sailed directly to the distance. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.